You're listening to the Electronic Media Collective Podcast Network. Yeah, it's a mouthful. For more great shows like the one you're about to enjoy, visit electronicmediacollective.com. And now, our feature presentation.
This is Randy. In the future, potato technology will advance so that a simple pump can give you the largest potato wedge you've ever seen.
This is Melanie, and in the future, everyone will have a 3D printer in their house, so we will never have to worry about a missing sock.
And this is Jesse. In the future, the words atrium and vestibule will both be replaced by the word lobby.
Welcome to the Grawlix Podcast. This is our, 14th episode?
Is it?
I think it's number 14.
Wow.
Bazinga.
But this is our year. It's happy birthday to Grawlix.
Happy birthday.
We've been going for a year.
That's awesome. You know what else? If this goes up on March 2nd, then my birthday is tomorrow.
Ooh.
You'll be older by the time this goes up.
Oh, that's awesome. I guess.
Happy birthday, old guy.
Old guy.
Old
yes.
guy.
Old guy.
Hashtag old guy. Mm-hmm.
And actually, we'll have the Grawlix anniversary, and then we'll have our anniversary, 2 days
Oh, that's
after.
right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Because last year we recorded on our anniversary, which was just after Jesse's birthday. Then
Yeah.
I didn't even realize.
Well, what a weird coincidence.
Wow.
Then a year ago, everything was the same.
Well, happy birthday to you, sir.
That's tomorrow. But thank you.
Happy birthday tomorrow.
In the future.
In the future.
It's so weird to talk about my birthday being tomorrow when it's not.
That's how we do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that's supposed to mean. It just felt like something we could segue out of that from.
Well, yeah. That's how we do, Katy Perry.
Yeah.
Ooh. Katy Perry, okay.
Apparently I know that.
Oh, man. We're all a year older and still just as awkward.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I'm ever going to grow out of that.
No. That'd been gone long ago if that were the case.
Mm-hmm.
We were awkward before it was cool.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Then all the other kids jumped on it. Hipsters.
Yeah.
Those awkwardsters.
I was going to go there too, yeah. What's the combine word for that? Combine?
Combine.
Combine.
Those
Combination word?
farmsters.
Yep.
Well, we've got a great show for you listeners today. Clearly, I'm not sure how to kick it off, so I'm just gonna let's just hype it up.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
It's the last Swamp Studies. Oh.
Oh. 1 year anniversary.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Last Swamp Studies. Swamp Thing's getting canceled this month.
Sucks.
Bummer.
In favor of dead air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, we'll be talking about some Batman today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not even old Batman.
No.
Well,
new.
Old in the sense that it's been published months back.
It's new old Batman.
Yeah.
New old Batman.
It's new old Batman about young Batman.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a loop. That's a time. It's year one without being called year one.
Yeah, it's newer than year one yet. It's 0 year. Figure that one out.
Yeah.
They figured out how to time travel.
Yep. The comic book creators.
Mm.
They're not telling us. They're just using... No. If comic book creators figured out how to time travel, comic book continuity would be a lot cleaner.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
there would be no Spider-Man clone.
I've never read it, but what's the deal? What's that bit with Spider-Man, Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy? Was it Gwen Stacy got married? Or Mary Jane? Who did they marry and then they kind of like just did it?
Okay, Brand New Day. Yeah, that was the thing where they basically retconned the Mary Jane Peter Parker wedding.
That's it.
They reset that whole thing.
I hear I've never read it. I hear a lot of gripes though. I hear that comes up a lot.
The whole thing leading up to it was great, and it was the thing is it was Straczynski's swan song for Spider-Man, and he did a great arc. I mean, like several great arcs on Spider-Man, and then that's how they ended it with a retcon. It was like, oh no, don't do this. So it was pretty good, and then at the end, it's like a lot of things where it's like, well, we want to parlay this into things that you'll read in the future, so we'll just kind of leave it as a dangling plot thread kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, that's a terrible way to have one of your prolific writers just go out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's true.
And then he wrote a brilliant arc on Superman, and DC got him. He did that whole arc. It was like right after the Spider-Man thing. He went on to write an arc for Superman called Grounded, where Superman basically walked across America, and it was crazy because he like walked through all these different. That was the thing, is he stopped in each state or a lot of different states, and so there was an issue that was set in Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
Did it have a gigantic tower in Fremont?
No, only Iron Man could pull that off. Yeah, Prometheus Gene Tech.
Yeah, somehow
I pass it every day. in my commute, there's just this random skyscraper in Fremont that I pass.
Yeah, I was gonna say I lived in Fremont a long time. Somehow I missed that huge skyscraper towering over the whole rest of the town. Yeah,
the Mandarin.
There was a.
He buys up all the land.
That was an Iron Man, right? Iron Man.
Yeah.
There's an Iron Man issue where they had a little bit in Fremont, Nebraska,
Mm-hmm.
but all you really seen was in their like big. Was it like a research tower or something?
Yeah. It was this gene splicing. Yeah, genetics research tower, and it was just like a blip. It was Fremont, Nebraska was used to kind of set up what was happening in Omaha, Nebraska. Gee, that's a surprise.
Yeah,
and it was just like the issue before setting things up, and then never referenced again.
Yeah, but like, and all you really saw was like they were in this big, huge building,
Mm-hmm.
which there's nothing
the
like
skyline.
that in Fremont.
Yeah.
Clearly someone from New York was drawing something from Nebraska.
I see.
Anyway, we can get off of that. What were we talking about?
I don't know. It started with Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah. And continuity and time travel.
It was time travel, yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
It's unpredictable.
Yep. There's the loop.
Yep. We caught up on Flash last night. We were 2 episodes behind. I can't believe I let us get that far behind. See, that's how off I've been this month.
He turns on Hulu and he's like, "We're so far behind." I'm like, "It's 2 episodes." He's like, "We're so far behind."
Well, with Arrow, that happens. We'll get a season behind, and I'll be like, "Oh yeah, what happened to Arrow?" But the Flash, the Flash,
right.
I'm usually on it. So we caught up on Flash.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun, but I'm kind of like ready for Firestorm to move out.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Three's Company.
Yeah. Well, it seems like they kind of are, it seems like he'll be out of the show for at least for a while.
I wonder what the end game is with Firestorm, if they're gonna spin it off into yet another series, or if they're just gonna kind of bring him in once in a while. I think he works better as a side thing.
Yeah, I can't see him. I mean, I guess in a way it is a pretty good, like, there's precedent because it's a pretty good pitch if you think like The Odd Couple.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't see that like being its own show. Mm-mm. And I don't think the younger guy, I don't think he's a strong enough actor.
That's what I was going to say. I like the older guy. I've liked him and I've seen him in other things and I like him. But that younger guy is not for me.
That younger guy, isn't that actually the Arrow's younger brother?
Is it?
Isn't that I think that's an Amel. I think he's going to be at Planet actually.
Oh, but that could be.
Don't quote me because I could be way wrong, but I think I'm right.
Well, there is another Amel running around on the CW. That might be him.
Well, if that's his younger brother, then I feel bad for him because his other brother is hotter and doesn't really look older. So
yeah, he doesn't look older. Well, I think part of my problem with the guy, what Ronnie is his character's name, is they did that thing where he's supposed to be a scientist, and he just most of the time looks like a jockey D-bag.
Who likes pizza and beer or whatever.
Yeah.
I think they made a point to do that too.
Which is fine, I guess. Maybe you don't always want to cast the stereotype, but then again, don't just cast the hunky guy. The Flash is actually one of the better shows about doing that. Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe they thought we wouldn't notice since they put him in the Arrow's bad wig.
That wig was awful.
It was.
Holly comments on that every week with Arrow's bad wig.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They do the flashbacks and Arrow, that wig is terrible. And then they finally cut Firestorm's hair, but the wig they had that guy in was just the worst. Mm-hmm. Just stop it. Just stop it. If you can't do a good wig, just stop it.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, it's Robbie Amell is the younger he's and then we have Victor Garber is Martin Stein, and I thought he does a really good job.
Yeah,
I mean, he's a great actor anyways, but I was kind of shocked to see him playing Stein actually, but he does really well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that guy, and it's not so much that I don't like the younger guy, it's just maybe he's a good actor, but he certainly doesn't have, like, the screen presence that his brother does.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it may be down to what they've given him, in that character. Like, Ronnie, in this iteration, is just kind of flat. He's characterization.
Yeah, he was dead, and then he was trapped inside his body, so he didn't really have to do anything.
Yeah, and that's all we got.
No character development.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're the fiance of the person that actually got development.
Mm-hmm.
With The Flash, and I know I rave about that show over Arrow quite a bit, but I think it's bold how like true to the comics they're going with Gorilla Grodd.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Blows my mind that they're actually going there.
Yeah. I'm excited about that because he's one of the biggest Flash villains, so it's fitting. But they never went there with the original series that I'm aware of.
Well, and like, I mean, if you a giant telepathic gorilla is like for a live action television show, it's hard to pull that off without it coming across. Like I think, like I commented to Melanie, we have like as comic readers kind of a working knowledge of Grodd and are aware of him and can accept it on that level. But from what I imagine a lot of the viewership, like they don't know the comics, that could come across as so goofy and so cheesy.
Right.
So I'm impressed that they're going there. And I mean, I don't think it necessarily comes across as cheesy, but we're predisposed to just accept that because we know the character in the comics.
Mm-hmm. But I think it works especially well with Flash because so much of it is science stuff that went awry. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly, that's how it was and how it was set up. And they did the setup for it, they showed the
him in the cage, the experiments. Yeah. Oh yeah. For sure. Yeah. I mean,
it's easier to accept than just you happen upon a psychic gorilla monkey thing that's really smart, Yeah.
I think we're a couple episodes behind on Arrow. 1 or 2 maybe.
Yeah.
But, whatever. We'll get to it.
When I even watched it, we're current, but I don't know what I can tell you about it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was good. I enjoyed it, but it was like, I think it was almost all flashback this week.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm not...
So a lot of bad wig. Oh, now I remember. Yeah. Yeah, there was a huge thing, and it was basically spoiled for me on Facebook. So, Facebook again.
Oh. Well, I'll have to watch it then soon. We'll have to watch it so it doesn't get spoiled for me. That happens occasionally. That happened with the Ra's al Ghul fight was kind of spoiled for me because we waited a long time before we finally watched it, and I had, seen stuff online already.
Well, I mean, the thing is, if you watch it on Hulu or wherever you watch it, if they, they like to throw up a thumbnail of a scene, and that thumbnail will be the spoiler. And that was like, well, if I didn't see it on Facebook, I just saw it now.
The episode of The Flash where his dad got shanked in prison. The thumbnail on Hulu slightly. I mean, you didn't really know what happened, but it was him in the hospital bed with a Flash standing there.
So he gets attacked somehow.
And you kind of assume, well, he's in prison. He's probably going to get shanked.
Yeah, in fact, I think we said that. I don't remember seeing the thumbnail, but I remember the situation was happening, and I'm like, oh, he's going to get shanked. And then
he did.
Yeah.
So you're like, shanks a lot, Hulu.
You shanks.
I like that one.
You like that one?
I do.
Oh man, that one.
Yes. It only took me a year.
That pun got approval. Wow. Oh, never mind. I was going to ruin it.
Okay.
I won't.
No, don't.
All right. I couldn't make it work. I was going to add on it, but I couldn't make it work. Might as well just let it glide. We watched Dead Snow 2.
Oh yeah, it was last night.
Have you seen either of those?
No. Well, it's been on my queue forever, and it got dropped from Netflix for a while, and now it's back on there. So I need to watch it, but I've been excited about Dead Snow 2, and I haven't even seen Dead Snow 1 yet.
Oh, really? Well, Dead Snow 1's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Dead Snow 2, they just ratcheted it up, 100%. They add, which is kind of fun because they added, it's the kind of movie where they can do stuff and you're just like, okay, whatever. The movie's just goofy and insane.
Mm-hmm.
But they added some interesting things to the zombie convention to the point where they even have characters like, how many zombie movies have you seen that have done this? None. You're inventing your own genre here. It's that kind of movie.
Super meta, yeah.
So, it was fun. It's super gory and distasteful a bit.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of stuff that's like, oh, why did they have to do it? But it's just, those are the kind of movies they are. It's fun.
We're watching it and we're like, oh no, there's somebody in a wheelchair. This is going to be great.
Yeah, it's that kind of,
probably the villain.
As soon as you see somebody in a wheelchair, no, that's going to become something. Yeah.
I don't think it did actually, though, surprisingly.
Kinda.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah,
kind of like when you have a dog in the movie, you're like, is the dog going to die?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right away, you start taking bets. Is the dog going to die?
Yeah, I think I actually commented on that. I'm like, thank God there's no dogs in this movie because...
You did. You did say that. You're like, if there was a puppy... Because oh yeah, I remember when you said that too. Okay, I don't want to say anything about it, but if you can stand some good-natured bad taste, and then a lot of super over-the-top gore, almost cartoony style. They like intestines and doing ridiculous things with intestines.
So much blood.
Yeah, it's just played for totally to be goofy and over the top. If you enjoy that kind of comedy horror thing,
which we do,
it's worth a watch.
It's not Sharknado level, or it is?
No, I would. Well,
I've never seen Sharknado.
I have not seen Sharknado, but I would say it's above Sharknado.
Okay,
because it knows it's not trying to be a great movie, but it's also not trying to be a bad movie. It's just trying to be.
Yeah, I think you pegged that. Yeah.
In the first Dead Snow, at one point, just because of how the violence and the action go, I'm like, they totally pulled that from like Evil Dead or Army of Darkness. Like, you can tell there's that kind of, I guess Evil Dead 2, that kind of attitude where it's like over the top gore, where it's kind of humorous, you know.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying it's as good as the Evil Dead movies, but it's that school of thought, I think.
Sure.
So, yeah, definitely. It's good action. Mm-hmm. Some pretty impressive stunts.
Oh yeah.
Actually, I was pretty impressed. Some nice fight scenes, which is odd for like a zombie movie, but it's kind of all about fight scenes and stuff.
Huh.
Yeah. But yeah, check it out. It's worth a watch, I think.
Me too.
All right, webcomic recommendations.
Yeah.
What do you got?
So, this month, webcomics, I've got Bubble Fox by John Esparza. And John Esparza has been doing different kinds of webcomics for a good long time. His first website was www.johnscrazystuff.blogspot.com. And this is like his latest endeavor, bubblefox.thecomicseries.com. He's done a comic series called Mushrooms and Mike and Mindy. And so his style is very like classic cartooning. Like when I was looking through it, I was thinking kind of Bill Amend, Foxtrot, Stephen Pastis, Pearls Before Swine, like that kind of cartooning. So you know, like really good cartooning. You know, like if I had to kind of like come up with a description of what cartooning is, at its best, it's like simplified but exaggerated. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's really what, I think that's really what John Esparza does, like he does best is, he's got that simple but exaggerated thing down. Mm-hmm. Makes me think of, thinking like Charles Schultz, like Peanuts. You've got a super simplified style, but you can convey so many things within that style. And I think that's something that John does really well. Bubble Fox is basically a fox that winds up getting stuck inside of a bubble pretty frequently. I mean, that's kind of his origin, is that he gets stuck in a bubble. And so it's fun. There's a lot of sight gags and stuff involved there. And John is super, super active on Twitter and social media. So
oh yeah.
Sorry, pause. My dog starts yowling out the door. So he's a huge supporter of other creators, and definitely give him a look. bubblefox.thecomicseries.com. Oh, and he's currently working on his print collection for that one. He's got print collections of his other comics, but this will be the first print collection for Bubble Fox.
As always, just a reminder, any of the comics we talk about, particularly the webcomics, you can get links in the show notes. Wherever you're listening to this at, most likely there's a link in the show notes in the description. So be sure to check them out. That's why we recommend them for you to read them.
Yes.
I need to do some research. I need to get more quotes, and I need to look up some webcomics, because I never do that either.
You're not online a whole lot.
I know.
There are some good ones, though. I think you probably really enjoy.
I'm sure there are. I don't get on the computer. But
it's almost hard to find the ones you're going to like, because there's so many good ones. Mm-hmm. It's like, and then they have archives that are so many issues deep that it's like, oh, am I going to go all the way back to the beginning for this?
Yes.
We need to find some. We need to find some good ones that have websites that read out nicely on your phone, and then I think you'll probably blow through a bunch of them.
Oh yeah, for sure I would.
Yeah, we'll do that.
But it'll be different soon anyway, because I'm gonna have my own computer. So when you're in there on yours, I can be out here on mine at the same time.
Well, I think Taptastic, I don't know. There's a app / website that's designed specifically for that, where you can, when you scroll through the comics, you're scrolling. like you would on a phone. So it's designed specifically for webcomics on a mobile phone.
Oh, nice. Good call.
Mm-hmm.
Now what, guys?
Well, you were asking earlier about which one we wanted to do first.
Yes.
I think we should do the Batman first, and then the Swamp Thing since it's the end, and then we can give it a...
Oh, yeah. Give it a true send-off.
Mm-hmm.
Good call. This was a healthy chunk.
Mm-hmm.
This is technically how DC will release it. We read 3 trades for this month because they split Zero Year into three books.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I had a question about the opening once we get going here, because I just reopened that first issue today, and I was like, oh, hey, how does this tie in?
The weird little snippets of things.
Well, at the very beginning, you see these guys with weird hoods, and they've got giant shark maw things on their face, and I'm like, what is this?
And they don't.
And that's after I finished it. I'm like, what are those guys about?
Yeah, it's kind of a cool design, and they don't ever they're not really ever in play.
Yeah,
I guess they were just supposed to be cool looking random thugs, I guess, but they didn't there was nothing. They didn't become anything in the story.
Yeah. Okay. I wondered if maybe that got explained later and I just didn't catch it. But I was just like, I don't remember this at all.
Well,
this is how we open it.
They were chasing so it opens and... Okay, hold on. Oh, I was going to pull up... Oh, you know what? I have it on my phone. Let me just pull up... I'm trying to pull up the issue numbers. It skips around a lot because...
Oh, yeah, because Batman Eternal's somewhere in the middle there.
Yeah, there was an issue that was like a Batman Eternal, and then there was also... Villains Month was in there at some point, so let's see. So we're going to be talking about Batman 0 Year, which is the new origin of Batman. If you're looking for the singles, this is covering Batman issues, and I believe this is how we all read it. We all read it as the single issues.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Issues 21 through 27 and 29 through 32. So you skip 28. And then the Villains Month issues were 24.1, 0.2, 0.3. So that's
the .now stuff.
Yeah, .swaga.now. All new Villains Month forever.
You mad?
You mad, bro? I don't know why it sounded like it. That's where it should have went. So yeah, we open this up. It jumps back. I don't remember if it says 5 years ago or 6 years ago. I think it was 6 years ago.
6 years ago, just because I have it on the screen right now.
Okay. Yeah, and it opens up, and Gotham is overgrown. It's almost apocalypse Gotham. I mean, it's bright, but it's overgrown. The tunnels are flooded out, and you've got a young kid who shows up later in the story, I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
Getting chased by these aforementioned thugs that you brought up.
It reminds me of Judge Dredd, I mean, the way they go to the future and they're vampiric looking guys. They've got these hoods that have these open maws, like shark teeth type thing. Mm-hmm. And then they've also got pale hands and claws.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. Oh. And so I'm like, what's going on with this? Because it's kind of fascinating visually, but yeah, we don't get really a payoff there.
No, yeah, we never see those guys again. Yeah, and then you get a look at a very early kind of disheveled Batman on his I believe that's supposed to be a steam powered motorcycle
with some kind of motocross bike kind of thing,
and purple gloves.
Mm-hmm.
He's got purple gloves all throughout this thing.
Which is weird because I never really picture him as having purple gloves. But
yeah.
I thought that was kind of strange, but fitting considering who he's going to go up against.
Mm-hmm. DC's releasing this in trade form as 3 separate books. I believe the first 2 are out. I don't think the third one's out yet. It's coming out soon.
Oh.
It's released as Secret City, Dark City, and Savage City.
Okay, yeah, that sounds right.
That's how it's split up, you know. It lists it on the title pages and stuff. So we get not a remake of Year One, but just kind of a different take. And this is something we can probably touch on more when we talk about the art. But Scott Snyder, the thing he kept saying was, you know, he didn't want to do another take on Year One. He didn't want to just remake it. So he kind of went the total opposite. Instead of being kind of a small scale dark story, he wanted a big, bombastic, colorful, insane story. And that's what we get.
True.
I don't know where to start with this. I did reread this. I read this as it came out, which was over the span of a year plus. It's like a year and a month. It took actually a year and 2 months.
When this came out right after Death of the Family, right?
Yeah.
And that's where they kind of lost me, because it was like, we just went through this kind of trauma thing, and I kind of want to see how it plays out, but now we're going to jump into a flashback. And it was a brilliant flashback. I'm going to say just up front, I enjoyed this story immensely. But at the time, that's where they lost me.
They kind of set all that up. You know, Snyder and Capullo, Snyder set that up in this Batman series. And then it's almost like they did that, and then DC immediately followed that up with the death of Robin. And it's almost like Snyder was like, I'm out. I'm going to jump back to the past to do this origin thing, which DC wanted anyway. That's why he did it, because DC wanted that.
Sure.
But yeah, he set all that up and then just kind of bailed and was like, nope, we're going to the past, and the other Bat books can deal with it. And that's kind of what happened. Some of them dealt with it kind of poorly. Some of the things just never really worked out very satisfyingly. Is that a word? Yeah.
It is now.
It is now. But yeah, you're kind of right. It's if you're following the series, it kind of fell all over the place for a while.
It's my own bad, because I have that thing against origin stories anyways. So I was like, I don't want to go back and reread the beginnings when I kind of know what the beginnings are. But then, you know, since we read it for the poll list, it's like, okay, well, it's a good new story. It's not really, it's an origin, but it's not. I mean, I think they handled it as good as any origin could be handled.
In a way, like, it avoids, I mean, okay, you've got the classic scene of the yes, father, I will become a bat, you know. You have that, and it's done here. I thought it was kind of interesting the way he went about it. But in a way, he kind of avoided the things that made Year One. There's a lot of things he avoided. He didn't deal with the mob, with Bruce Wayne trying to mess with the mob at all. For the most part, it was all like really big, over the top villains.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. It was okay. We don't have to compare the two though, but just you know, that's, I think, a lot of people's natural.
But it's hard not to, because when we think about it, it's like, well, is this Year One? Well, it is, but it isn't. I mean, it's different.
I think Snyder handled it well in that would have been pointless to try to remake Year One. So I think it was smart of him to be like, well, we're just going to do something totally different. Like, intentionally doing something the opposite way as to kind of pull away from possible comparisons. I think is a smart way to handle it.
And I almost feel like Year One takes place after this somehow.
Yeah, I kind of do too.
Like a prequel or something, more than...
Yeah, it's Year Zero instead of Year One.
Yeah.
Well, right, and that's pretty much how they tried to make it work, but yeah. And I think they pulled it off, because it does. It almost feels like a prequel. So we jump in basically at the Red Hood gang, right? And that's they kind of allude to that way back in Batman Zero, where they give us little snippets of, you know, it's like they were setting us up for Year Zero or 0 year, like at the very beginning of the New 52. Like, okay, this is coming.
That's one thing I like about Snyder's writing is when he, you know, on a longer series like this, I think he'll plant little seeds. Not like a ton, but he'll put little things in there, and you can tell he has an idea of where he wants to go eventually. Even if he knows whether he knows or not, he'll get there, or when he'll get there, because I believe he's had to slide things around. I've heard him talk in different interviews about, now they're doing or wrapping up the second Joker story, and the Riddler thing. He said he wanted to do this Riddler story, he just wasn't sure where. So, but I appreciate that he has foresight. He's got a longer plan in mind. Mm-hmm. So it's nice when he can put these little seeds in there, because I think the Zero issue came out like at least a year before this did. Mm-hmm. So,
and I really like that, because the little seeds, because if nothing comes of it later, then it's just something that was there.
It's just there.
But if it does, then you get to look back and it's exciting, and you're like, oh, I found something, kind of a thing.
For sure. So I like the Red Hood gang stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's just really interesting to introduce, because the first thing you get outside of that kind of cold open of Gotham, because after that it then jumps back more.
Mm-hmm.
Because it opens with a wrecked Gotham, but then you jump to before that to where Bruce Wayne has returned after disappearing, and going off for training. And we also get little snippets of that.
Mm-hmm.
And he's pretending to be a ginger.
Yeah. He's got a mask.
Like a curly-haired ginger, like a male orphan Annie.
It's true. I didn't think about that. But yeah, totally. And he's in the middle of it. You come back and he's in the middle of this big, confrontation with the Red Hood gang. He's got, he's obviously hijacked one of their trucks, and he's got a bunch of business guys in the back.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to save. And you get this just big, insane action bit where he's swinging a van on a grappling hook off of a skyscraper, and it's just crazy.
And I love the go between him and Alfred in this too, where they're arguing kind of, but it's still, fun, and it's fantastic out of it.
Alfred, all throughout this, Alfred is not really on board. He's the whole time, he's like, what are you doing? Because Bruce Wayne comes back, but he doesn't announce that he's back. As far as everybody except Alfred knows, and eventually his uncle, Bruce Wayne's dead.
Mm-hmm.
And so he just wants to come back, leave Bruce Wayne dead, and he doesn't seem to really have a plan. He doesn't have the Batman thing yet.
Yeah, he does. He has an apartment or something, doesn't he?
Yeah, they're staying in an apartment by Crime Alley.
Yeah, and if I was Bruce Wayne, I'd be like, okay, maybe Bruce Wayne's dead, but I want a little Bruce Wayne money to, have a nice place.
Well, and that hat he keeps wearing, they're trying to make it look like a K, I guess, for Gotham Knights, but it's so ridiculously, obviously a Robin symbol.
Yeah, and that shows up a bunch of times.
Mm-hmm.
I think at one point there's a glass. Later on, there's a glass or something that's got that logo on it, and it's totally the Robin R. I didn't even connect that it was the K. I was like, and I was even looking at it, I'm like, what is that supposed to be that's not the Robin symbol?
Well, and it's basically because they make that weird, I think they make a reference to kind of explain it, because people have got to be going, what is going on with this?
Yeah.
And that's the only reason I put 2 and 2 together. It's like, okay, that's got to be a K, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Because he references the Gotham Knights later on, and I don't know if it was I think it was the Riddler that actually referenced it.
Yeah, for sure. He did.
Because he's like, Gotham needs a hero. Like a Gotham Knight.
So what do you guys think of a younger Bruce Wayne here? Because he's a jerk.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Batman can kind of be a jerk, but younger Bruce Wayne, before he's figured out the Batman stuff, and even a little bit after he starts wearing the costume, is a massive jerk. He's a jerk to Alfred.
Mm-hmm.
Huge jerk to Alfred. What do you think?
I always think of that one part where he's like, come back. And he's like, I was talking to the battering.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, you Grawlix.
You Grawlix. I really like that scene because it's one of those things where it's that's a very real thing, but at the same time it's not, because it's set up with this like weird sci-fi weapon thing that he's playing with where he shoots it at the wall, it sticks in there, and then it's got voice command to come back, and they use that during one of him and Alfred's mini fights in this.
Well, yeah, and that happens in the second issue already. This fight happens like immediately. You get one whole issue of them kind of being on the same page, and then all of a sudden, boom, they're already at odds. I thought it was funny because, like, like he's using masks, but not the bat mask at this point. And so, I just thought it was interesting because in this second issue, he's the Penguin before he's Batman. Because he wears an Oswald Cobblepot.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Yeah, he's dressed up as Oswald.
That's funny.
Oh, what was that scene where they're in the helicopter? Yeah, or the blimp or whatever.
Yeah, and that's where things kind of go south, and that's where Alfred kind of calls him out. It's like, that's not really working.
I don't remember if it's that fight or not. I think it is between him and Alfred. Alfred actually slaps him in the face, if I remember right.
Yep.
Takes a shot at him. Like, it's through most of this, him and Alfred really have their relationship is, I mean, it's not bad. Alfred obviously loves the guy, but like, it's bad for Alfred.
Yeah.
Because Batman's a jerk to him the whole time. And Alfred does, he's, yeah.
But that's part of what I was talking about. I like it because it shows like how much they care about each other, but it's, like somebody with their kid who's misbehaving and they wanted to smack some sense into them, but they can't because they're grown-ups or whatever.
Yeah. You can't because they're grown-ups and they'll hit your back. But yeah, I don't know. The Alfred thing in this really gets me. The end. I know this is jumping way to the end, but there's a bit with Alfred where he's kind of like, spoilers, by the way. I'm sure listeners know, but spoilers for everything. Where Alfred's trying to introduce him to that girl. And he even like goes through the little daydream of like they have a baby, Bruce and this girl and a family, and old Bruce Wayne's like, thank you, Alfred.
Did you think that was a rip on Dark Knight Rises?
Maybe. Where at the end, where it's like,
yeah, everything's like, okay, everything's hunky-dory at the end, and Batman's retired, and it's everything the way Alfred wanted it.
Someday I'll be at this cafe in Paris. Yeah. I can't do...
Your Michael Caine turned into Sean Connery.
Yeah, it did. I can't do a Michael Caine. Sean Connery. I can't do that either. I'll stop it. I wish I could do both those. Those are fun voices. But, yeah, maybe. Yeah, for sure. It's interesting to see, I want to say it's in this, but in other modern Batmans, there's little things they'll lift from the movies and stuff that I'll notice once in a while. And I want to say there was something else in this story that seemed like it was lifted from a movie, but I can't think of what it was offhand. But little nods and stuff.
Can I jump back?
Yeah, please do.
Okay. The Red Hood gang. I really like that they're just guys that are being blackmailed into doing it.
Yeah, like for the most part, all of them, except for the head guy. They're all like, they're cops and they're teachers and they're like just regular people.
Yeah.
So.
When I like how they dealt with, and this is spoilery too, but the way that they wove his uncle in. Because the whole time I'm thinking, oh, he's a bad guy. He wants Bruce dead, blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking that the whole time.
From the get-go.
Yeah, and then when the other shoe drops, it's like, oh, well, I'm kind of pleasantly surprised that it wasn't so predictable.
Yeah, he's not necessarily a good guy, but he's not bad like you thought. He's in a bad situation like everybody else in the Red Hood gang. Also, origin of the giant penny. Origin of the giant penny.
Yeah.
So that was kind of fun.
And the dinosaur at one point, right?
Yeah. What was it? It's not a big role, but I think it was in the museum or something, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Something, yeah.
So, it doesn't play as big a part as the penny. The penny even comes into play at the end as like a big, like a plot point almost, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. When we get Vicky Vale right off the bat, too.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
A little nod there. When Philip, surprises him in the museum with that whole press conference type thing, like, hey, Bruce is back.
That was a fun misdirect, too, because you know, he's like, I'm sorry for Bruce, I'm sorry for this, you know, you're like, oh, he's going to try to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, it's this, you know, also not something that Bruce wants, but yeah, then you get the like, it's kind of really a jerk move.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's better than trying to kill the guy, but just like, well, I know you don't want anybody to know you're alive and here, but hey, everybody knows now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the things, everybody thinks he's dead, and then he's there, and then everybody thinks he's dead, and then he's there, and then maybe they think he's dead again. I'm not even sure. But how many times are people going to think this guy's dead?
Oh, yeah, there are several times through the course of the thing. But I think, like, the party happens, and oddly enough, that's like, the press apparently didn't seem to get whiff of this, because then he shows up later and the press is like, we all thought he was dead. Well, they didn't say that, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because there's the explosion not long after that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So there's the whole thing where he's back, and then he meets Edward Nygma, which like we get a brief intro to him between him and Philip earlier, but this is where Bruce gets to meet him. Is like he's trying to escape that thing.
I really like that scene too.
Yeah, they do some fun panel work with it. They make it look like almost like a board game kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. That, which comes into play again later towards the end, but that, spiraling snake board game type design is pretty cool. I like that. I don't know. In this, I like the Riddler sometimes, and other times, you know, it's like, okay, he's the Riddler, whatever. But I really like that first scene. I just like the go-between, the dialogue between the two. I think I like the Riddler better when he's not in his Riddler costume. He just seems more sinister when he's not.
One of my favorite parts with the Riddler was he was in, I'm assuming it was like his office with all the strings everywhere. And he's like, don't touch anything. Because he's got like this giant, like, you know, everything's connected, big, awesome pattern thing. He just looks like a nerd, basically. But it's like impressive that whole part is, because the Riddler, I just said this to Randy yesterday or the day before, being really smart and it is awesome, but then he makes it like kind of lame, being like, I'm gonna make riddles and put on this costume and whatever, and it'd be cooler if he was just an evil genius, you know?
He does.
If he were more like the Clock King, like if he had a little bit more composure.
Yeah, yeah.
I was gonna say, another thing that we had talked about was the little mask thing. That he wears for no reason because everyone knows who he is. Yeah,
that's like everybody knows your name. They know, because you're not like, I'm the Riddler. You're like, it's me, Edward Nygma, the Riddler. You know, everybody knows his face, but he still has to like wear that stupid criminal bandit eye mask thing. Why? Why do it?
Yeah,
for no reason. And that also brings up. I found it interesting thinking about that the bad guys like never really wear masks or hide their identity. Like, you always know who they are, and they're just them.
Yeah, in Batman, very few of them have, like, secret identities. Like, the Joker's, I mean, you don't necessarily know who the Joker was, but that's not, like, a thing he's hidden. He's just the Joker, you know?
And this is who he is now.
Yeah, and the Penguin is just the Penguin. Well, he's like, you know.
He's Cobblepot. Everybody knows who he is. He doesn't wear a mask.
Yeah.
The Penguin's just a name people give him. Killer Croc is just the guy. Yeah, we were talking about this the other day.
And Two-Face is, everybody knows who he is.
Yeah.
It's, there's very few, Poison Ivy, everybody knows who she is. She doesn't wear a mask. There's very few exceptions, like Catwoman. But Catwoman's sometimes a bad guy, sometimes not. So, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah. I wonder if it's like, if you're bad, it's just freeing, so you don't care.
Yeah, you don't care to hide your identity.
Yeah.
But yeah, very few of them. A lot of them are just openly like, I'm a bad guy and this is who I am. I'm not going to hide it. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's probably like that in a lot of the other comic books too. But I just you brought that up, and I hadn't really thought about it. But it is an interesting concept.
Yeah, and it hit me especially because of the Red Hood thing, where it's like normal guys covering their faces, and then the like supervillains are just like, I don't care.
Yeah. Except the Red Hood. I guess I didn't think about that either. Like the Red Hood 1, I guess you'd say, who's the actual villain of it at some point. Mm-hmm.
Which you never find out. Mm-mm. I like that they think they know who he is, but then it's
not. They find that guy's body, and they're like, we have no way of telling how long this guy's been dead. Mm-hmm. He could have been the Red Hood yesterday, or he could have been dead for a year, and somebody else has taken his place. Mm-hmm. So what did you guys think of that? How the Red Hood, I guess, progressing the story a little bit, how the Red Hood thing wrapped itself up, because you get the Joker's origin, really. Mm-hmm. The Ace Chemical and all that, which they touched on in Death of the Family. I looked closely at the art because there's at one point where Red Hood 1 does step away and takes the hood off, and you can see a reflection of a person in the hood. Somebody with a big nose, somebody very Joker-like. But you don't see, specifically, you don't see a switch over, you don't see exactly who it is, and then you get the, fall into the vat.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and it's interesting because it does tie in almost to, was it The Killing Joke?
Uh-huh, yep.
Where we get that kind of pseudo origin for the Joker, and it's like, well, if you want to be a purist about it, you could fit the Killing Joke in now.
Yeah,
because he's kind of in that story. The Joker's kind of forced to do it, and it could be that Red Hood 1 forced him to do this thing.
Yeah,
and they intentionally used a whole lot of dialogue to say we don't know. It could have been anybody.
Mm-hmm. Right. But yeah.
They do, like, Bruce and Alfred has this couple dialogue intense pages where they're like going back and forth and making a point of like, we don't know.
Yeah.
At one point, Alfred's like, you're just playing multiple choice. You're just coming up with more things it could be, Mm-hmm. But I thought that was an interesting way to handle it.
Mm-hmm. And then I forget how we get to the bone guys.
It just kind of goes to it. Okay.
Yeah, just immediately. It's like right after the Red Hood thing resolves, now we're dealing with Bone Man.
So I guess not to jump back, but okay. So we do get that moment. The Batman. Yes, Father, I shall become a bat.
Right.
We get that moment, and it's kind of interesting because they have this bit of technology, and that's another interesting thing. Snyder said he didn't want to it's pretty much, even though it's like 6 years ago or whatever, it's set in modern day. So he didn't want to mess with making a period piece. He wanted it to feel modern with technology and all that. Mm-hmm. So they've got this ball, this imaging. Oh
yeah. That thing was cool.
Yeah, this imaging ball. So when that moment happens in his study with the statue and the bat coming through, the ball is activated and is projecting a hologram of the cave from when Bruce was a kid and fell in the cave. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of interesting, I thought. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so during the Red Hood thing, Batman is put on, he's the first Batman outfit, purple gloves, kind of weird. Mm-hmm. And he's showing up as he started to do the Batman stuff. And there's some really good stuff in there where he's got the guys, he ties the guys to the billboard in kind of the bat symbol, and if you read it, I don't remember what the billboard said before, but after he ties it to it, it covers some of the letters, so it says "Welcome to Bat Country." Mm-hmm. So I appreciated that. So yeah, he's doing Batman stuff, and that's kind of how we get to the bone guy, because it brings us in after the Red Hood stuff. We get this Dr. Death story where, really, it's the police. At this point, the police are going after Batman, and they keep seeing him at these murder scenes.
Right. Okay. That's how.
With the bone guy.
Yeah.
Which is grisly. Mm-hmm. This whole bone thing was crazy, and the artwork was wild.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Almost Nosferatu-like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, Dr. Death, the look of him. It just looks... Those teeth, man. It just looks like it hurts.
Yeah.
There's actually... I mean, it's not anything like that, but there's actually a disease, and you die from it, but your tissues and organs turn into bone. It's like... Ugh. And they're like, it's like super painful. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, if it was like the extreme like that, you'd be in agony like always. I don't see how he could even walk around and do stuff.
This really, okay, so it's not gory, what happens to his victims. So he injects them with this serum that basically makes their bones grow out of control. Mm-hmm. But the crime scenes afterwards, like, is really grotesque and on the verge of like, whoa, that's almost a little hardcore for whatever this comic is rated, you know?
Yeah, because it's like, they grow so, it's like trees or something,
yeah,
so...
Twisted, creepy bone trees.
Mm-hmm.
Which is an odd
thing. That's a great name for a future album.
Yeah, for sure.
Creepy, twisted bone trees.
And I know what happens with the regular guy, but I think maybe to the victims too, if they like break the bones, it like makes it grow. Yeah. Like much quicker and probably farther.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be like, the serum is supposed to be where if somebody breaks a bone, then it like immediately heals harder. Mm-hmm. But particularly with Dr. Death, anytime he gets an arm or something broke, it like, vroom, and it like...
It makes a motorcycle noise.
It turns into a motorcycle. But it like grows and gets all distorted and twisted. So towards the end of this whole Dr. Death storyline, that dude looks gnarly, and he's just huge and lumpy, and he's got all these spiraling bones. And...
Then when him and Batman get in a fight on, I don't know what they're on like a tower of some nature.
They're on a weather balloon.
Are they on the?
Yeah, they're on like a weather balloon type blimp thing.
Okay, I just remember the railing.
Yeah,
and he like broke his bones around the railing. Ugh.
Yeah, and it grows around, and then he eventually has to break it off.
Yeah, he's going to feel that tomorrow.
Oh, nice. Nicely done. I like that one. Yeah, I guess there's not a whole lot to say about that section. I like Dr. Death.
I didn't really understand why he was targeting the other guys that worked on it with him, besides just that he went a little crazy.
The Riddler, okay, this is, you know, I guess I don't have to do another spoiler warning, but the Riddler had essentially talked him into doing this for him, because essentially he was stealing this technology from these other scientists that the Riddler ended up taking and using to do this whole final act thing. Mm-hmm.
But I thought, okay, but yeah, initially they were all working together, right?
Yeah. And
then he got fired, and the Riddler convinced him, I think, to use that on himself and get the other stuff, but he didn't.
But why?
Why did...
Motivation?
I don't know.
Kind of like the Riddler, well, at least what the Riddler claimed was like, you know, to make, you know, sure, all these people will die, but it'll end up making people stronger, blah, blah, blah. His motivation, I guess, was a little convoluted. Mm-hmm. There was a tie-in to, oh, wow, that's another thing. His son was a soldier, and he died, and it turns out his son was searching for Bruce Wayne when he died. I thought it was interesting how many times Bruce Wayne, as not Batman, came into play into the plot of throughout the whole thing. Mm-hmm. Like, somehow Bruce Wayne inspired the Red Hood. Somehow the murder of Martha and Thomas Wayne inspired the Red Hood to be Red Hood. Mm-hmm. Somehow Bruce Wayne being gone and his Uncle Philip, like, setting up the scenario to have this Dr. Death's son search him out as in the military. You know, Dr. Death's son died. So, like, I like it. I don't mind it. But in a way, it's almost a little cheesy how much they wove Bruce Wayne into being, like, an unwitting and unknowing, like, reason for a lot of these villains.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that. It's okay, I guess. Mm-hmm. But...
When this is kind of a tangent, but like these, like we're up to like the 5th or 6th issue and like there's this little aside that happens towards the end of every issue, like showing like the first 4, it's like a prequel type of thing where it's like him learning how to drive a Batmobile type scenario. Yeah. And then the next one's like this steampunky looking guy with a monkey showing him all these gadgets and him working on gadgets and then basically like a gladiatorial pit where he's just fighting everyone but won't kill anyone to the point where they're afraid of him.
For days. Fighting for days. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, for days. And then we have, like it ends off, I think, with, like these kids, and how they're inspired by the Batman. And that's kind of where it ends.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's like they went through the first trade and into the second trade with these little asides, and then they just kind of disappear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I noticed that too, and it actually kind of bugs me a little bit because I liked the little snippets. Sometimes they were relevant, or they were relevant. And sometimes they were just, it's kind of like Arrow. Sometimes the flashback was relevant to what was happening at the time, and then sometimes it's not. It's just there. But it makes, I guess, if they had continued in each issue, maybe that would have got tedious to the point where eventually you're like, okay, we get it. He trained a bunch.
Yeah.
But as the story goes, it almost feels like a format change that they're not there. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
It's almost like they should have spread them out more.
Yeah, maybe.
Instead of having them all right there in the beginning and then no more.
Because
a total art change too.
Yeah.
Were they even written by Snyder or
they were story by, but they were written by I think James Tynion, which happens a lot.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So it was like he's probably like, hey, I need this backup. Here's my idea. Write it.
I like the monkey one a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where it's like he has all this stuff, but and none of it works, so he just has to figure stuff out. I like that because he's he's Batman. He has to be able to do that kind of stuff.
I liked it because they were, they each handled a different area of how Batman operates in a way that a lot of like Batman origin stories or past Batman stories doesn't, because when they do the training, you get to see like his physical training where he's learning to fight or doing this or that. But yeah, I like the ones where, like the car one, where you get the idea of like, why the big extravagant crazy Batmobiles, and the guy's like, because it becomes this thing where the cops are like, it's got to be like a vehicle out of a dream, and eventually they don't want to catch you, they want you to get away. That kind of idea,
right? Right.
And then, like you say, the gadgets, where it's like he can have all these gadgets, but when it comes down to it, he's got to be able to improvise on, yeah. So I did like that.
The one thing they didn't cover is like his detecting.
That's true. That's true.
I was like, that's one thing they've never really come across in any of the origins. Is like he's just naturally gifted at it. Mm-hmm. I'm just really good at solving riddles, guys.
That's one of the things. I know we don't really watch Gotham. We like fell off, but I appreciated that they showed him like
as a kid,
being because of his his parents' murder, like starting to look into like everything, and you see how he became a detective. Yeah,
it's actually kind of interesting that the Gotham show tackles that better than most of the comics have.
Mm-hmm.
And the Gotham show itself is kind of so. Mm-hmm. So the Dr. Death stuff eventually kind of gives way to the Riddler stuff, which I mean, it's the Riddler stuff's been weaved throughout the whole story, but now we're actually getting into 0 Year and where that comes from.
When Dr. Death almost is like a distraction, isn't he?
Yeah, he really is.
I mean, he's got his own agenda, but Nigma is playing that so that he can set up his grand scheme.
Yeah, there's some like Nigma has Dr. Death doing stuff for him in some way. That's kind of where Dr. Death's motivation is convoluted, but for the most part, he does use that as a time to distract Batman, and then the cops are also distracted because Loeb has a big hate on for Batman.
Doesn't he have also the chemicals that the Red Hood was?
Oh, I'm not sure.
And like up in blimps or something? Maybe I'm wrong.
He might.
I thought he was. You find out like,
because those chemicals. Because the Red Hood gang ended up getting away with those chemicals.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, those might have gone to Nigma because Nigma was essentially pulling the strings with his Uncle Philip, and his Uncle Philip is where Red Hood got a lot of their access to Wayne Tech chemicals and weapons.
Mm-hmm.
When they mention it at one point that Batman's like, well, I get where he got the manpower because he basically just co-opted the Red Hood gang. So I guess maybe that explains the jaw face people at the beginning. I don't know. I'm reaching there, but yeah, like I think he co-opts the Red Hood gang in some form.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like all of it is connected to him. You find out at the end, which is really how it should be for someone like the Riddler.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the Joker, who's your daddy?
Oh, that reminds me. So speaking of, I remember something that I thought was potentially a nod to the movies. That song that Dr. Death is talking about. The song he heard in the service or his grandfather heard in the service or something.
I think it's like they all sang it or something.
Yeah.
The moon one.
And there was a lot about dancing in the pale moonlight.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, is that a Batman 89 reference?
I hope so.
You ever dance with the devil? And oh my gosh, there's my movie quote. Okay, I'll hold on to that one. I still love that movie.
Oh, yeah.
That bit's great. And Michael Keaton was a great, crazy Batman. Like, I mean, he was a good Batman, but like he was a great, like, crazy Bruce Wayne.
Mm-hmm. He does really well when he's not showing his face. Like, he just can go all kinds of crazy.
Yeah.
Like, in that and
right.
juice and whatnot.
That's the thing that keeps me wondering, will Ben Affleck surprise us? Because no one would have believed that Michael Keaton would have been a good Batman, and then he wound up being a really good Batman.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's true. And
it's like so that's that little seedling of, well, maybe I'm not giving Affleck enough credit.
But he was Daredevil, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't like Affleck. But okay, as Batman, I mean, you can be in the Batman outfit and be a bad Batman. It's happened.
Well, yeah, Clooney. I mean, Clooney's a brilliant actor, but horrible Batman.
He was just George Clooney in a bat suit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But for the most part, if you just downplay it, you can be a fine Batman in the suit. So it kind of comes down to what kind of Bruce Wayne you are.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're going to play it as Bruce Wayne's kind of a jerk, because generally Bruce Wayne's kind of a jerk, yeah, Ben Affleck might be able to pull that off because he's really good at being a jerk.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what he's really good at. I think when he's not being a jerk, that's when you get the, like, really questionable roles, like his performances.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Sure.
But I'm pretty sure I've said it before. He's like Mark Wahlberg. If they're like a cop or a criminal in Boston, then they're great. Other than that,
yeah.
But also, Affleck's getting older. He's getting older, So maybe whatever.
I think it really depends on the project, because like Wahlberg has been in great projects, and then he's been in the big hit, or Transformers or something. Yeah, I mean, like he's been in some great roles, and he's been in some roles. Same thing with Affleck.
Or The Happening. What? No.
Yeah. Oh God.
Right.
No.
So really, they both just need to fire their agent.
Yeah, kinda. I think so. Although I don't know, I can't blame Affleck for taking the role.
No.
Although who wouldn't want to be Batman?
Yeah.
Even Clooney wanted to be Batman for a second.
Clooney, Clooney probably came out of that like, regardless what anybody says, he's probably like, yeah, I was Batman. I doubt it affects Clooney very much. Because after he signed, I think the thing with Clooney is, and this is sometime around when they were making those movies, he signed to do, before the movie came out, after he signed on to do Batman, and they paid him, apparently the story is his accountant, or whatever you would call it, or his agent, or whoever, they're like, after this, you don't ever have to work again if you don't want. So, that's a big paycheck.
Yeah, it is.
One of those, like, Yeah.
So now you can do all the roles that will get you Oscars.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And he does. And okay, Clooney wasn't a terrible Batman movie, and he was a terrible Batman, but people still respect the crap out of Clooney because he's George Clooney and he's cool.
Yeah,
and he can be a good actor.
He's got an all, like, in the acting world, he is Batman.
Yeah, exactly.
I was gonna say, you know, as far as like maybe not Batman so much as like you think like a rich guy like Bruce Wayne. Clooney's probably the closest to actually being that of anybody that's played him.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, you got Clooney. You know, like now, if you've got a movie and Clooney attaches himself to it, it's going to be a big deal in some form now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, where were we?
Ben Affleck sucks. No, I'm sorry. We were way before that.
I'm not a fan. I guess we get into the Riddler stuff. I don't remember what we were talking about.
Yeah, we were talking about the Riddler.
Oh, I sidetracked just a little bit because the possible reference to the Batman movie.
Oh, right. Yeah. The Riddler is another, I think, thing that kind of points out Batman's detectiveness.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that interaction does. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was just like, well, how did he get that smart? He just was. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe in between his working with gadgets and driving cars and fighting gladiators, he was reading and studying and doing brain building games.
He was spacing off during college. Maybe that's this. Maybe I just didn't get that part.
Well, that's an interesting thing. That's towards the end here. The little flashbacks, like where he's in college and all that. Like that, his teacher or professor or whatever put that trick question up to him. Mm-hmm. You know,
was that college? I thought that I didn't.
Maybe that
was
high school. Maybe it was high school. I don't know. It's hard to tell the ages.
Yeah, they didn't really say. It seemed like it was college because he sneaks up into their room.
Yeah,
it could have been a boarding school, but it's some kind of like dormitory style setting.
Uh-huh. But he knew the answer to that. Mm-hmm. He just was, I think, that part I kind of thought about a little bit because I just finished it up recently. I think the fact that it was about bullets and shooting.
Well, yeah, of course.
And then he was also having the issue where he was like seeing everybody with bullet holes in their heads and stuff. That had upset him. I
thought not only that was it, but I thought he's Bruce Wayne. They know what happened. I thought his teacher was just being
a jerk.
Yeah. So he deserved it.
Yeah. And he went and burned the big zero on the guy's yard.
It's reverse racism.
I like the flashbacks. I like the flashbacks. The issue where the Dr. Death thing comes to a climax, and you get the flashbacks of the shooting, the big thing, the big Batman, Bruce Wayne parents being murdered scene.
Yeah.
First off, the art there is awesome, but I remember when we first read it, you had commented to me, Melanie, about it, where the guy shoots his father and then his mother, and the artwork for like where he shoots his mother and she's like looking at him and the blood coming out of the eye and stuff like that. And like the way that when they draw the muzzle flare, I guess, on the gun, kind of halos behind her. So really interesting artwork there.
Oh yeah.
I guess that's something I wouldn't mind touching on. We could probably do it now, is the artwork in general. I really like Capullo's artwork in the Batman series. At first, and I know we've talked about it, we probably had roughly the same conversation when we talked about Death of the Family. At first, I was almost a little put off by it because his characters' faces are, a lot of them look young. The way he does certain noses, like they're kind of like roundy and soft faces, you know? Mm-hmm. But as I've, been reading it this whole time, I really like it. This story does really well to highlight some of the things that I think Capullo enjoys doing and is really good at is the city. Mm-hmm. There's always a lot of detail in the city. And then all the stuff with the overgrown city, I thought looks great. What did you guys think about the colors? Because they made, there's an obvious choice to do something very different with the color. Because generally the series has been very muted, browns and grays and earthy tones. And then this series is like super stylized, crazy, Technicolor gradients. The sky is like green and purple most of the time. It's very stylized and wild. How did you guys feel about that?
I liked it.
And overall, it's most of the scenes are brighter.
You almost have to go over the top with the villains that we've been dealing with, because there's they jump right in with, these super villain character types. The Red Hood is like this shiny red bullet-shaped helmet thing, and then you've got the Riddler, who's like lime green and purple.
Yeah. And really those sections, I guess how they would break it down into those 3 books, kind of reflect the villains a little bit. I mean, the coloring during the Red Hood part stuff is interesting because you do have still some of the night scenes, but you get a lot of red and orange gradients and a lot of red, or like, I guess, warmer, crazy colors, oranges and some purples and stuff. And then, if I remember right, it seems like during the Dr. Death stuff, it's generally a little darker.
Yeah.
The color's a little bit more subdued, like how the series normally is. And then for the Riddler stuff with this green suit, you get that, like, it's almost always daytime, overgrown green city backdrop.
It's like if Swamp Thing had just left the city the way it was.
Yeah.
For sure. I really liked the stylized color at times. But then once in a while when it would switch to a more subdued color, in a way I was kind of like, oh, this is nice. It feels like being home again, like this is how,
like the break for your brain.
it is. It is a break for the brain. And also I guess a little bit the eyes, because those colors are so extreme. So it's a little easier on the eyes, but it's also more like, this series with Capullo's art used to the more subdued colors, so it feels a bit more how it should be. But there's one scene, I like the scene, but I'll mention it now because I really like the art, and it's when I really started thinking about the colors and stuff like that, is where Alfred and Bruce are like down in the hole. They're in the cave, but it's when they just have a hole that goes up to the yard, and they're putting the generators in and down there. And they're climbing up the ladder to come out, and Bruce Wayne is trash talking the police. And then he gets out, and you flip to the next page, and Gordon's standing up there, like, what were you saying?
Yeah, well, and I was wondering if we'd get into that too, because I really like how they create this dynamic between Bruce and Alfred. And you also have, like, it's like you get to see where it's going to grow. And you do the same thing with Gordon. Like, they don't like each other. And that was kind of jarring for me at first, because it's like they've always been on the same page that I can remember. And now, not only is he smack talking the police, but once he realizes it's Gordon, he takes it to another level of get the heck out of my face.
Yeah, he really does. He ratchets it up. And then there's like, go ahead and look, and hits the thing so all these bats come out and Gordon gets scraped. Okay. Yeah, one more note on that. When they come out of the hole, like that scene, it's like where, oh man, the color and the art is like really nice there. It's like yellowy, but kind of subdued. It looks foggy, like it had rained recently. It just had this great atmosphere. One of the best looking pages, I think. And there's really like nothing to it. It's just them standing out essentially in a field. But anyway, the Gordon, that's something I hadn't really thought about. The Gordon Bruce Wayne dynamic is really interesting, because to the point where Bruce Wayne pulls a gun on Gordon. My first read through, I don't know, I didn't really like it. I was like, what? I don't like this. Because for the most part, when it comes to like Batman as a character, as a person, Gordon's like Batman's only real friend.
Yeah. Am I confusing this with something else, or was this the trench coat thing?
This was the trench coat.
Okay.
There's the trench coat. Yeah, the whole trench coat story. And then eventually, they kind of come into an understanding. what do you guys think about... Okay, so you get half of this trench coat story set up between Bruce Wayne and Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get, like, the truth or the reveal about it, which... Because it kind of sets Gordon up to be a bad guy, which I did not like. I was like, Gordon's, like, supposed to be, like, the best guy in Gotham, you know?
Yeah, the only honest man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
More so than Batman, even.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But then you kind of get the reveal of, like, okay, he is a good guy, you know?
But even then, he says himself, he's like, you know, I just didn't want to look into it. I didn't want to check and see, it, you know, I wanted to just believe that people were just giving us stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it comes across as more like, what's the word?
Naivete.
Naivete and denial.
Yeah.
Is what kind of put him in the situation to look like a bad cop.
Mm-hmm.
So then we get the payoff, the reveal between Gordon and Batman, which is also another one of my favorite scenes because it's where Gordon takes the glasses off and he's like, I can look at the prescription. I can't see you. That your mask is going to burn your eye out. You know, you got to take it off. And then they kind of basically wrap the story up between those two to the point where at the end, Gordon gets a new coat. It's the same coat, but it's new. And Gordon even says something like, how did you, like, you know, basically he's like, have you talked to Batman or whatever? And Bruce Wayne's like, I wouldn't know anything about that, but, you know, seems like...
Yeah, maybe it was time for a new coat.
Yeah.
And Gordon almost has a smile, so do you think even at that point, do you think Gordon knows? Because I think in the current day in the story, in the Batman series, I think Gordon knows.
Mm-hmm. I think
he did know at one point. I don't know, post New 52. I don't know if he knows, but he did know.
I think he knows. I don't think they've ever blatantly said he knows in the New 52, but they've done a lot of things where it's like, yeah, he's got to know.
Well, I was going to say, he's a good detective too, and I'm pretty sure he is at least suspicious pretty much the entire time.
Yeah. But
it's like, this guy comes back from, out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden there's a vigilante here in town. And all these other, coincidences and wanting to go and look in the caves around the grounds and whatnot. And yeah.
I also like that in this, you get, because it seems like before, Batman was up for a team up with Gordon before Gordon was. Batman seemed like he knew Gordon was a good guy before Gordon knew Batman was a good guy. And in here, it kind of seems like the reverse, where Gordon's like trying to befriend Batman almost, and Batman's got this, hang up.
Yeah. Yeah, that is like the opposite of how it usually is, because usually they're like, oh, he's a vigilante, but then they, are like, but he's a good guy still.
Yeah, eventually Gordon comes around, and,
Well, they set up Gordon to be more of an outsider in this, too. Like, he's kind of the cop that he's like a low man on the totem pole in this retelling.
Yeah, I mean, he was an outsider before, but he was like an actual outsider. Like, he came in from out of town, and that's kind of the case here. But yeah, they present it different here, where he's working his beat. He didn't come in as just like a detective guy. Yeah, it's interesting.
And is Corrigan, is that like a reference to the Spectre? Corrigan is his, just to make it make sense, that's the name of his partner.
Yeah, the crooked cop partner.
Yeah, and so it's like, I wonder if there's a correlation here. Are they tying that into the Spectre character, or is this a totally different Corrigan that has nothing to do with it?
I think, okay, I could be wrong, but I think it's a different Corrigan.
Yeah, because doesn't he have like some kind of police job, but it's not of that nature?
Yeah, Corrigan does.
It's not like a B cop though. He's like,
oh, well, I guess
he's
it could be.
He's more of a detective than.
Yeah.
I guess it could be.
Yeah, I don't know. So that's something I meant to look up and never did.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't catch that. I was like, well, Corrigan's familiar.
Maybe it's his cousin.
It's his cousin, yeah. Possibly. I'm not sure. that's definitely worth looking into.
The reason that it was even on my mind is that Corrigan plays a role in the Constantine television show. So not to totally derail this, but that's where, like, that Corrigan, that specific Corrigan is in Constantine, and I thought, well, is this the same one? And then I just never looked it up.
Yeah.
Well, he's in Gotham at Midnight?
Or Gotham at Midnight?
Something like that, yeah. I'm reading it, but
Gotham by Midnight?
I don't look at the titles, I just...
Yeah. Is it still good, that series?
I enjoy it, but I like the, I guess supernatural type stuff, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, what else? Anything else on this? The Riddler stuff, I guess. I don't have a lot to say about the Riddler stuff. Like I said, I like the Riddler better when he's less flamboyant and in your face, which he is definitely huge and in your face. And you get his like narcissistic side here where he's taken over Gotham and he,
pretty hard not to see Jim Carrey a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I said that the other day too.
Oh, there is something I really like because he does the Riddler line. I just like how they pepper little things in here where towards the end when Batman has finally tracked him down. We're kind of skipping over a lot, but we need to, I guess. Batman has finally tracked him down and the Riddler kind of has got him in a position with all the lasers and all that. And you get there's that snake game board comes up again.
Right. Yeah.
He does, he's like, you need to answer these riddles, blah, 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 or blah, blah, blah. And all these are connected to these balloons full of gas outside the city. And then you do you flip to the next page and it goes to Lucius Fox and Gordon or whoever. But you get the little snippet of dialogue from the page before, like it usually does. And it's, riddle me this, Batman. And I was like, yes, it's like 5 R's in the riddle. So yeah. I really enjoyed that.
Me too.
I mean, they didn't even do it to in the word balloon on the page. So you're looking at the Riddler. It's the next page, but yeah, they give you the
It was a nice way to do it, but not be as over the top as we're used to.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And it was fun. I enjoyed that.
But still, that whole scene is kind of, it's like a game show. It's like, I'm gonna be a game show host as my villain personality.
It really is kind of like a game show, and he's got the robots set up there with the guns, but they also have these camera heads, and there's 2 or 3 of them surrounding, watching. So I hadn't really thought about it, but with all the lights and the Sphinx set. Almost. It's very much like a game show there. Well, and the Riddler goes huge, he sets it up, he has people come up and he tried to challenge him on a riddle and he's on the big screen in central Gotham and they've got a little area set up and it's Coliseum style almost,
With a bottom that drops out, that was craziness.
Yeah, a bottom that drops out into looks like a carport or a car parking garage with apparently jackals at one point, but there are lions by the time we get there.
Yeah.
Batman takes on a lion? Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Now my mind's kicking on some of the more fun stuff. That's one thing about this in general. I think there are a lot of fun moments. As opposed to just being a dark, brooding story. But yeah, Batman takes on what was it, 3 or 4 lions? And at one point, he's got a lion in a chokehold, and he's holding them there.
Yeah, yeah. Is that all you got? Is it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, answer me this, Riddler. Oh yeah, there's a lot of fun moments and good lines.
Well, and he quotes Frank Miller, but it wasn't Year One, and I don't remember where in the story it is, but he does. I'm the Grawlix Batman.
Yeah, he does. For sure. That's another thing. Young angry Bruce Wayne has a much dirtier mouth than current Batman. There's a little bit more quippy, a little bit more Spider-Man style quip. Yep. There's a lot of Grawlixes. There's a lot of Grawlixes, not just from him, but from other characters too. And then they do that thing where they'll even throw the little censored box over it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Well, that back at the beginning, that first scene where you got Bruce Wayne in the mask before he's Batman, and the whole bit with the truck swinging and it lands in the water, and then he's down there giving him the finger, and it's got the censored box over the finger. But that I think that right there, I think sets off like this is a younger, less refined, angry Bruce Wayne. When towards the end, after Batman hits himself with the defibrillators or whatever, and you have that big like moment where it's like 2 pages of blackness and all that, and then Alfred revives him, and I can't remember. Batman says something like, "How whatever," and Alfred's like, "Oh, I knew you would." Or what does he say? I don't remember. But Alfred's like, "Because you're Batman," and and it just makes me think of because I'm Batman. But I just love that, because you're Batman. That's how. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some really good lines.
Yeah. There it is. Because you're Batman. That's how.
Yeah. Because you're Batman. That's how. Frickin' great.
They've got like they flash forward to a month later and how they're all dealing with this stuff, and it's like, okay, well, we cleared up all the weeds at least. I mean, like 1 month later, and all the overgrown plants are gone. Even though we're rebuilding, it only took a month.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. In the New 52, Gotham has been essentially destroyed 5 times. So once per year, roughly. Why would anyone live there? It's not even how it used to be, to where it's all these supervillains and crime. You got that, but also every once a year something destroys your city.
But he gave a big speech about that's.
He does. They do talk about that, actually.
That's why people love Gotham, because it reinvents itself and it's new and you can change and do whatever.
And it's your city. It's not your father's city or grandfather's city. Blah blah blah. Yeah, it reinvents itself and rebuilds itself every year because it's taken down by maniacs or superstorms or whatever.
Yeah. But there's still...
how is the Riddler ever going to top himself now? It's well, my first outing, I basically shut the entire thing down and turned it into I Am Legend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll never top myself.
Yeah, it's true. There is, during all this, there was also a Batman annual. And I didn't include it. It was kind of a tie-in, but I didn't include it because it's not a main part of the story, and there's a whole lot of issues here anyway. But the Batman annual was not too bad, because it's it jumps back to present day, and it's just basically a Riddler story. He goes and infiltrates Wayne Tower and all this, so that's kind of interesting. I guess I don't really know where I was going, but
I like how they have him. I think it's at the end of this one. In a straitjacket, suspended in the air.
Because
he's got all those strings again.
He's the first supervillain they put in Arkham then. Really, because they're
he'll escape if we don't do something.
Yeah, Blackgate's not equipped to deal with him.
Yeah.
And they're well, Arkham is. And they're well...
And Gotham wants their villains. They want to keep track of him.
And they even make a, hopefully, let's not make a habit of putting Madman in here, blah, 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 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
When that's kind of the end, they end it with that little thing with Alfred daydreaming. And Bruce basically saying, I'm never going to quit,
Oh, the art. Okay, that part where Alfred's there's this girl from your school, blah, 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 over here trying to, hey, go talk to her. And when Bruce Wayne tells him, just so you know, I'm never going to quit. And there's a little panel with Alfred's, it's kind of a close-up of Alfred's eyes or face, and the look on it, oh, it's heartbreaking. But, Capullo really nails, just the look on Alfred's face. Yeah. It's really good.
Capullo's really good at, playing with panels, and, he's one of the best for these flashbacks. because he jumps back and forth, and he does it in a way that doesn't feel particularly jarring, because he'll do like the scenes where Bruce as a kid is sneaking off to the theater. Well, we're going to see that in a series of panels that are actually a film strip.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he'll do that kind of thing. And like way back to the Court of Owls, like how am I going to represent Batman just going insane? Well, I'm going to do something funky with the panel layout.
Yeah, the panel layout's crazy. And then oh man, not to get into that, but that's one of my favorite things that he's done is as Batman goes more and more crazy on these hallucinogens in this maze, like he's drawn like a monster, like the art makes him look insane.
Yeah. And so, that's one of the things that Capullo is just kind of brilliant at, is those kinds of transitions.
Mm-hmm.
I really am not very familiar with his other stuff. I know was a big Spawn guy. He worked on Spawn for a long time. So, I mean, I don't know that that's where he got how he got renowned, but I know he came from that. Well, then we get some interesting twists. I mean, it's almost a horror background, so when you're dealing with Batman and how fear is a huge element, I think he can draw on that pretty heavily. And it's kind of interesting that he can do grotesque, like all the bone stuff and the horror stuff. But at the same time, his characters have, I don't want to say cartoony, but more of a, like I said, a rounder, more like softer, stylized look than like some other comics where it's a more realistic.
They seem like a more cartoony, what is it? God, I'm gonna say Rockwell. The guy that used to do all the magazine covers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, Norman Rockwell.
Yeah. It's like those characters except more cartoony.
Yeah, exactly. It's got like a friendly look on.
It's like a little bit more realistic than what we were used to with the Batman the Animated Series style.
Uh-huh.
You got the square jaws and everything. It really reminds me of like Tony Moore's. I mean, we'll be getting into Walking Dead eventually, but like that first volume is all Tony Moore Walking Dead, and you've got the square jaw, really clean look to Rick.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I kept thinking of in the early pages where you see the overgrown Gotham. Is like, this really reminds me of Tony Moore a little bit.
And you recently were talking about how in those earlier Walking Deads, Rick looks super young. And that's one thing that struck me initially with Capullo's art is like Bruce Wayne looks super young. A lot of the characters look very young.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the way he draws faces.
You put Grayson you put them all together and it's like, okay, well, Batman looks about as young as Grayson does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They could be brothers as opposed to adoptive fathers.
Mm-hmm. So that's a really interesting, like, you take that, but then add in his more grotesque things he'll do and some of the details he'll put on gore. And, oh man, I really like some of the covers to these.
Mm-hmm.
There's awesome covers. I like the one where it's got like the skeleton, the hand claw coming out of the ground. It's huge and Batman's standing on it. And then there's the one where it looks like, on the cover anyway, it looks like Batman's been injected with stuff or whatever. So he's got the huge teeth overbite, but there's also like some like teethy looking things coming out of his chest.
Mm-hmm.
Some cool covers. I'll be sad when Snyder and Capullo are off Batman. I think DC will leave them on there as long as they're willing to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Capullo said, I just want to do Batman. Like, he's like, as long as you'll keep me doing it, I'll keep doing it. But eventually, I'm sure it'll happen. They'll be off of the book. And I don't know.
Yeah.
They just have done so well. And I'm not a fanboy, a Snyder fanboy to the point where I think every issue is a masterpiece. There's been a few little dips, I think, that I'm not a fan of. There was a little 2-story arc in between big arcs in Batman with Clayface. It wasn't bad, but I didn't think it was that great. And I'm not.
Seems like his long game is better than his short game.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But someday they'll be off the book and I'll be bummed, but hopefully they stay on it for a long time.
Well, maybe the next people will be just as good too.
Mm-mm. No, I'm kidding.
Nope.
Well, and that's not to say though. I think the Batman and Robin creative team is really good. Mm-hmm. Again, not every issue is a masterpiece, but I think for the most part they've been nailing it, and they brought Robin back to life and gave him superpowers, and that's something incredibly difficult to pull off, but so far they've pulled it off. I've been into it.
I want to see him fight Superman.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, he can fly and he's super strong.
I know. If he figures out he has like laser eyes and like cold breath, then bam. It's on.
Nightwing. Kryptonian Nightwing.
Yeah.
Everyone is Nightwing.
Everyone is Nightwing. Well, except for Nightwing.
Yeah, he's Grayson.
I'm interested. I should know. I've looked at a list, but I'm interested to see what DC books are coming back after this Convergence thing. Mm-hmm. I know Batman is for sure. You know, all their big flagships are. But
how many Batmans, though?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Will we have a Batwing?
I don't think so. I could be wrong. Actually, I think.
And what's the Owl guy? Does he still have his own series, or did
no? Talon's been done for that didn't last all that long. Yeah. Maybe a year and a half. I have them all. I haven't read them all. I felt it. It was a little disappointing. It's not a bad series, Talon, and I was really kind of excited because I was like, sure, it's a spin-off book. It's a character. You know, it's essentially a character.
It's a new character. Well, yeah, they don't do that very often anymore.
Yeah, and I was like, the Talons are kind of freaking cool. So, but yeah, it was just, you know, it was kind of so-so, and then it didn't last very long. Yeah, I don't remember. I wish I had the list on hand, but I'm not going to take the time to look it up. But, okay, anyway, so, Batman, 0 Year, final thoughts. This has gone on for a long time. I'm sorry, guys.
It was good. I enjoyed it. I was surprised because, again, it was the story that I was like, okay, I don't want to read an origin. Mm-hmm. But having read it now, I'm like, wow, I really should have just kept reading because it was pretty good.
And you brought up an interesting point in a message you sent me, is that you're not only getting that, but you're essentially getting the Joker origin and a Riddler origin. So that helps break it up and add more interest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that Dr. Death, I don't know
you're
that
getting his story too.
Yeah.
And he is, I don't know the original character, but he is an original old school Batman villain, Dr. Death. Yeah. I doubt he looked like he does here.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I should go back and check it out, but yeah, he's a pull from like early Batman books, so that's cool.
Yeah, that's kind of like, you know, like, well, I don't know, this is a tangent, but like when new school Doctor Who pulls in the Macra, you know, it's like, okay, you didn't need it to be the Macra, but it's so cool that it was. Mm-hmm. Or in Time of the Doctor, where the 11th Doctor regenerates, they have a monoid finger puppet. Okay, well, you probably didn't need a monoid, but the fact that it is a monoid is such a nice nod for the people that have been around for so long.
Yeah. It's kind of fan service, and also just like a ode and homage to the roots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the legacy of this character that's been around for so long.
Mm-hmm. I liked 0 Year quite a bit. I guess, you know, I don't think you're supposed to like compare it to Year One. Between the two, as a Batman like origin story, I love Year One. It's awesome, and you get I guess you kind of get a Gordon origin story here too. But Year One, you get a Gordon origin story. I like the tone of it. It's all dark. It's kind of small scale. It's moody.
Yeah.
So between the two, Year One's awesome, but I don't think anybody's debating that.
Right.
But I think
they didn't even debate it.
Yeah, exactly. But 0 Year, I think, is pretty strong. It definitely has its strong point. There's a lot more fun in it than I would have expected. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's as memorable, but it's definitely good writing.
I am going to disagree with you a little bit because, you know, I have issues remembering anything anyway, but especially Batman because I read too many Batman things and they all get confused in my head. But I think it's because some of it was just like so over the top, extreme stuff happening.
Makes it more memorable.
But yeah, like when I started reading it, I'm like, I just got done reading this and I remember it all. And that never happens to me. But I did. I remembered it all, but I read it again anyway. And I'm like, yeah, I actually, know this story because whatever.
Well, and I guess to kind of back up that point, I get Year One and The Long Halloween confused in my head a lot.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I could see that.
They're kind of similar, Mm-hmm. They have similar themes anyways, even though they're not even the same writer. It's... But it's I do. They blend. They blend really well, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. And fortunately.
Yeah, that's not a bad point. I guess it
stands out against other Batman.
Zero Year is kind of so insane.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like
that. Yeah, that's a good point.
It's like the 10th Doctor, saving the universe, and then saving time, and then saving everything.
It's so huge.
It's like
so huge. Yeah, you'll never forget when he was the Dobby Doctor.
Yeah.
So yeah, good story.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. If I can pull up Grawlixpodcast.com, where you should be visiting, listener, I'll check out the poll list. I actually think it's a 3-way tie again.
Oh. Well, tell me what it is and I'll vote. I'll break that tie.
Well, you two can decide between them then.
Okay.
Because I have voted. I actually kind of contribute. To be fair this time, though.
Well, if there's 2, we can flip a coin.
Okay.
If there's 3, we can't.
I think I contributed to it being a 3-way tie.
Randy.
My phone, our Wi-Fi is being,
I can pull it up.
Okay.
Is it just on the Grawlix?
Yep, it's just on the Grawlixpodcast.com. It'll be in the right sidebar. Scroll down a little bit and you can vote on what we read every month.
Yes, please do. We need to stop these ties.
Insert awesome Melanie clip here.
What?
I'll insert that little. You can vote. It's
democracy in action.
Yeah, I'll insert that clip.
Fun.
Here.
It's educational.
We read what you tell us to, but first you have to exercise your voice. Cast your vote on GrawlixPodcast.com and tell us what poll list pick we're reading next. Then, listen to the next episode to hear what we thought of your recommendation. Don't see your favorite comic on the list? That's okay, you can write it in. If your candidate isn't chosen, just wait. It may be the next time. Your vote stays in place until it wins. It's fun, it's interactive, it's educational. It's true democracy in action.
I don't know why the little widget's not pulling up for me. I've got everything else.
Oh, is it not?
Poll list.
Maybe that's why nobody votes. Nobody can see it.
Well, I saw it earlier. I saw it the other day because I was curious where things were at.
If you go to reading list, it'll also be on that page. It'll be like somewhere in the center on that page. Hopefully. I mean, if it's not popping up on that one.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, now the widget's loading for whatever reason. Okay, looks like we've got... Oh, that's an interesting 3-way tie. We got Fables.
Okay. We've
got Batman Arkham Asylum.
Okay.
And we have Marvel Bring On the Bad Guys.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to vote against Marvel Bring On the Bad Guys because that's all origins of bad guys.
Is it?
Yeah, okay. Good call.
Well, and it's enormous, too. I mean, it's a big one. So we'd almost have to, if we do Marvel Bring On the Bad Guys, which I'm not saying we can't do it. I think we need to break it up because it's like novel length. It's a tome.
Okay.
Not like a 6-issue trade. So I would say, I don't know.
So it's between.
How do we want to play this? Yeah.
It's between Fables and which Batman?
Arkham Asylum.
Yep.
I'm inclined. Well, okay, I said it's up to you guys, so it's up to you guys. I'm inclined to say Fables, since we just did a Batman, but that is up to you guys.
We did just do Batman.
That sounds reasonable to me, rather than because that would be 3 months of Batman. We did old Batman, we did old new Batman, and then we'd do Batman.
And listen, I could do Batman every month, but that's not necessarily what people want to hear. Mm. Plus, eventually we'll be treading the same ground, so.
So do we want to do Fables or abbreviated Bring On the Bad Guys?
I say Fables. Although
I think we need to come up with a way to handle Marvel Bring On the Bad Guys before we sign on to it.
What do you think, Melanie?
I've read Fables. Mm-hmm. I read, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you're quite current, but you're coming up pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
It's ending soon, I believe.
Yeah. So, I'm okay with that because I've already read it and I'll reread it. But, I mean, it's good. I like it. But the beginning is not as good as it. It gets really good, but the beginning is not the best.
Okay. Well, can you think of a section that we can jump to? Because I'm sure it's released in multiple volumes. It's been going for a long time, like 10 years or something.
I don't know. I'd have to look at them maybe.
Well, we should pick a volume. Mm-hmm. So we'll look and see what issues have been broken into what trades. Mm-hmm. And if you think there's one somewhere in the middle or somewhere that's like a better read than the beginning that we can read without necessarily missing out on like early stuff. I mean, it's Fables, so I don't know what kind of origins there are for these characters.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like, it's most of them are characters,
Yeah.
Some of them are multiple characters.
Okay.
Like there's a guy that's Jack, and he's, the Jack from 5 different stories. Mm-hmm. Things like that. But,
So we will read some miscellaneous volume of Fables, and we'll have Melanie pick out one that she thinks...
and just to clarify, not Aesop's Fables.
Yeah, they've got like a game. I think they're going to come out with a show or a movie or something, so people know it.
Yeah. Yeah, we played... There's Telltale Games did a... Wolf Among Us, which is a Fables game. They just don't want to call it Fables because of Fable, the game. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know, Jesse, how familiar you are with like Telltale Games. They did the Walking Dead games that are...
Yeah, they did the Back to the Future one, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that one.
We played the first episode of the Fable one, of Fables, Wolf Among Us, and really good. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Mm-hmm. It's like a detective... almost noir thing. Mm-hmm. But I really like that style of game. It was kind of cool. We'll have to play more of that.
They also do a poker night game where they take like just about every pop culture thing they can get their hand on and like smash it up into a basic poker game.
Oh, really?
Like Sam and Max and the Borderlands characters and Ash from Evil Dead and Brock from was it Venture Brothers?
Nice.
Awesome.
So all those guys like around the table, and it gets to be pretty fun.
That's insane. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Telltale Games is awesome.
I never knew that thing existed, but I want nothing more than that right now.
Oh, and there's 2 of them. I mean, and I'm not even a big poker guy, but it's fun.
Ash and Brock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know those are the 2 that stuck out.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's Ash, Brock, and I think it's Sam is in one of them, and then Max is in the new one, I think. Or Max is the crazy little rabbit, isn't he?
I'm not sure. I'm not super familiar. Is that
okay.
Borderlands stuff?
No, that's Sam and Max. Oh. But they even had their own little cartoon for a little while. I think it's Sam. Oh. Sam is the gumshoe-looking dog character.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about.
Max is this little rabbit that's crazy.
Okay, I think I know what you're talking about, yeah. And now for a word from our on-paid sponsors.
Hey guys, this is Brandon from the Technology Geek Podcast. You can catch all of our shows on thetechnologygeek.org as well as on iTunes and all other places where podcasts are carried. We also have a wonderful blog, and like I said, we talk computers, the internet, programming, cell phones, and pretty much anything geek. So come and visit us and listen to our wonderful show at thetechnologygeek.org.
For all things nerdy, visit the Grawlix Podcast YouTube channel at youtube.com/Grawlix Podcast. There are new videos every week. Get the scoop on current headlines with Comic News Roundup, hosted by Animated Randall and Melanie. Listen to full podcast reruns with chapter skips to jump right to the stories that interest you, and access to the all-new and amazing shows that try to pop out of our brains and into your eye holes. That's youtube.com/Grawlix Podcast.
All right. The final Swamp Studies. I might continue Swamp Studies on YouTube. It'll be different, but yeah. I'm really curious to read past this section. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure now that you've read it, Jesse, you can kind of see why I haven't wanted to read past it.
Yeah.
It's such an end.
It is an end, but at the same time, they hint at a bunch of stuff. Like they hint at the return of Constantine. Mm-hmm. They have a little bit of, like when was it with Metron? Is it Metron? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yep.
When he sees all time.
Yeah.
I know, I'm jumping ahead, but yeah, I mean, since we're talking about the end, he looks past the end of Moore's run, so it's like apparently Moore was involved in it in some respect.
Interesting.
Maybe people were just like, "This is awesome. I'm gonna run with it," like they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be.
So we're talking about Saga the Swamp Thing, book number 6. This is the last chunk of Swamp Thing written by Alan Moore. And this covers Swamp Thing issues what?
57 to 64.
Okay. So this is it. I guess we can start off with initial impressions. That might be backwards, but
no, it's okay. I liked a lot of this because it's spacey, and I love spacey stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think it's really interesting to take a character like Swamp Thing that's like an Earth avatar, basically, and then put him out in space in these weird situations and make him have to deal with it.
Yeah, I like that. And so it makes the break from book 5 to book 6 kind of awkward because like book 5 had Blue Swamp Thing, and now we kind of get different. They don't go like rainbow on him or anything, but they kind of imply that he's got a different color for a different wavelength or a different planet that he's on. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And they do that quite a bit. Like the first couple are pretty much that Swamp Thing on another planet, Swamp Thing on another planet. But he deals with interesting things at each stop. Like he learns something new and he has to deal with something like sentient plants, which he's never had to deal with. And what does my power mean in an ecology like that? Mm-hmm. So that was interesting. It started to get a little bit long and a little bit esoteric in the middle somewhere, and it started to get a little bit harder to read.
I bet it was that one.
Oh yeah. I'm with you. Like you had said, this had been the harder, the more, maybe a more difficult book to get through in the Swamp Thing stories. I'm with you. I remember having trouble getting through some of it. I like some of the stories I really like. Some of them are pretty excellent. And then some of them just kind of dragged for me, and I wasn't that interested. I like the concepts behind like all of them. I like the concept of Swampy shooting through space and bouncing from planet to planet in these different scenarios. That's other than the fact that it kind of got tedious, that could almost be a setup for its own series. It's like a Lost in Space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I like it, but this is like the one book for sure where I'm like, oh, this is my favorite. This could be my favorite. Oh, this story, how I usually am on all the other books.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
This is not my favorite. That's not to say there's not good stuff in there. It's good, but
yeah,
it's definitely.
It's kind of like the tying up loose ends volume
mm-hmm.
more than anything.
It's definitely a little harder to get through than some of the other stuff has been.
When I didn't know if maybe part of that was the fact that I knew it's the last one.
Yeah.
And maybe it was a little bit of not wanting to let go kind of thing happening too. But also the prosy stuff gets kind of thick in this volume.
Mm-hmm. Particularly in this one issue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is a total format change too. Like the art's different, the prose is different, the whole storytelling dynamic is different.
Mm-hmm.
That one's really out there. Okay, well, Melanie's got a little list here. So we start at issue 57. What do we got?
He is on the planet Rann, R-A-N-N. It's the red one, which is Adam Strange's other planet that he lives on.
I found this one interesting at first, but this became one of the ones that I was kind of like, I don't really care about these characters. Let's kind of get through this one.
Yeah, I didn't particularly. This one, and actually, I mean, we'll talk about it in a minute. The next one also.
It's the same story. Yeah.
Yeah. The only. It's like political weird stuff is going on and whatever, and the only thing that I really remember about it was he basically saved a lot of people by making stuff grow. And I'm like, well, yeah, they just need their own Swamp Thing, and then they won't have to worry about it anymore.
Well, and all they needed to do was rent a Swamp Thing, really.
Yeah, really.
Exactly.
That's what it boiled down to, is like, okay, well, we need you. Help us out.
And this has got... It's not actual Hawkman, right? It's just like...
No, that's the next one.
Hawkman people?
It's the Thanagorian.
Or is that this one? I thought that was the next one.
Well, I mean, they're kind of tied into the same...
Oh, well, yeah, okay.
It's 2 issues of this kind of...
Two-parter.
Two-parter, yeah.
Okay,
they kind of lay it out, and then the plot thickens in the second one.
Right, okay.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they might not come into it till more into the second issue, but...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was interesting because we start on Earth, if I remember right. I actually, I wanted to reread this since this was the last one, but I didn't get time. But if I remember right, we start off with Adam Strange on Earth.
Yeah, and there's like a mall where he's supposed to, like his crossroads, where he's supposed to access the planetary jump or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so he's got to like find the jump point, and it's somewhere in the middle of the building. Yeah,
yeah. So that was interesting. And then from there, we follow him, and he jumps to this planet, and yeah, it was, this one was okay. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I just wasn't super invested in this one. Adam Strange I don't know him very well, but it could be an interesting character. Have you ever read much with him? Anybody?
No.
He's strikes me as kind of a Flash Gordon.
Yeah, very much
character. I think it was interesting, but I also like reading this one. I wondered, like, is this a thing that DC wanted him to do to kind of boost, maybe boost that storyline, or was this something that, since they knew he was leaving, maybe he wanted to sandbox this planet for whatever reason? I kind of wondered why they pulled this in, because the only other time they do that is in a future issue with Darkseid.
Yeah, that's
but
a good point.
the rest of them barely have any kind of DC. It felt a little more forced, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. I don't know.
Well, no, yeah, and you have a good point, because there's a whole lot of happenings that have nothing to do with Swamp Thing, if I remember right.
Yeah,
I mean,
it doesn't even show him for a big chunk of it.
So maybe that's part of why I didn't like it. I was like, where's this going? I don't understand. I just want to see Swampy.
Yeah. And you know how many planets there are in the freaking multiverse or universe, whatever, and he's got to hop on ones with characters we know.
Yeah. Which actually, for the most part, I mean, it happens a little bit, but isn't that big of a, this is really the only one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so move on from that one?
Yeah.
Okay, what's the next?
That's 58. That's, I guess, the continuation.
Okay.
But,
and then,
Okay, so then 59. I actually forgot this one was in there. But yeah. Abby meets her father, except he's a,
like a Frankenstein
thing,
he's
right? He's like a Frankenstein zombie type creature. And he's kind of rough looking. And this is another one of those moments where I'm like, poor Abby.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like any bad thing that can happen has to happen to Abby.
Yeah, this is... Every bad thing that could happen to Abby happens to Abby. And this is just like, it's just felt like just extra unnecessary cruelness in her life.
Yeah. Well, they even start in hell, don't they?
Yep.
With the uncle. And yeah.
Yeah.
And I could be wrong, but wasn't one of the demons even is like, wow, that was, the idea is like, wow, that was extra messed up.
Yeah. Yeah, they have to like punish her for existing.
Yeah. Yeah, Abby gets the raw deal on everything throughout this whole series.
I know.
But yeah, I remember this one being really kind of a bummer.
Yeah. Well, it is like...
It was kind of a surprise. It's like, oh man, we're going back to how crappy her life is.
Well, that's why I'm saying I kind of forgot that one was in there, because it's like, oh, there's a little bit of Abby in there, and it's poor Abby. And it's not like even, oh, I get to see my dead father. It's like, everything I care about has to be tormented also because it's associated with me.
And turned into this strange, perverse, these horrible monsters, and
that is gonna die.
Yeah.
Yep. All right.
And then we go from that one to number 60, which I refer to as Planet Rape.
Oh yeah. Yep, this is the one.
Yeah.
I've been this whole time. Okay. This one's super memorable just because it's so out there. So this whole time I've been waiting to get to this one to kind of see what you guys had to say about it.
It's different, that's for sure. I enjoyed it just because as an issue, it's not like my favorite at all, but I just liked it because I could be like, oh my god, Rainey, holy crap, when you see this, it's like weird.
Yeah, I remember you read it before I did and commented on it.
That's the reason I like it, because I know somebody else is going to get to it, and I can be like, huh, you see?
You see?
But like, the whole thing is from this planet, or I guess it's a creature, but it's like a planet.
Yeah, like a living planet thing.
Yeah, it's all from its perspective, which is weird.
And it's like it's a lot of long passages on this one.
It's like a short story almost, rather than a comic book.
And it's almost the art style is dramatically different. It's almost like I don't even know what it's called.
It's like a
photo manipulation almost, but not.
Yeah, it's like a crazy mixed media type artwork.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I looked at the date after the fact to see if it was like an April Fool's episode.
Yeah.
Because I was like, what is this? So I went back and said, oh, nope, it's the May issue. So if it was April Fool's, it was late.
Well, although usually comics are like, for whatever reason, I've never really understood it, but they're dated like a month behind when they actually release. If you think about it. Like when a comic comes out, it's usually dated for the next month. I don't know why.
Yeah.
So it could have been.
Well, I mean, like the cover's different. Like from stem to stern, it's different.
Yeah, it's the Swamp Thing logo is totally different. It's just everything's got a completely different look.
It's very alien.
Yeah, I just wonder how this one came about. Yeah, why is it so different? I mean,
it looks like 50s sci-fi style for the cover, and then they jump right back to the normal Swamp Thing letterhead for 61.
Yeah,
they say new format underneath the issue number, but they go back to a normal cover or the regular cover.
Yeah, maybe the new format. They're like, whoa, no, let's not do this.
April Fools in May.
Yeah.
But somewhere out in the universe, then there's a half swamp thing planet floating around.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
So yeah, this planet's really lonely. Kind of.
I think it's like its whole existence is just to wait for another of its kind to meet up with it so it can get pregnant.
Mm-hmm. And Swamp Thing, unfortunately, is the thing that happens by.
Mm-hmm. And they're like, she's like, or whatever. I guess it's a she. It's like, yeah, I think this will work. I'm not going to let him get away. I'm going to do some weird like time manipulation to keep him there so she can suck out his juices. And then I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah, he gets all kinds of like tore up, and
he gets raped by a planet. It's insane.
It's really bizarre. I think the artwork as an experimentation in parts was interesting. That doesn't seem like the same proper grammar, but anyway. But in other parts, I remember not caring for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Ralph Bakshi's Lord of the Rings animation.
Okay, yeah, I kind of see that.
Because it's like, you know, I don't know. I'm like, it's cutting edge for that time, but it looks like somebody was having a lot of fun with Photoshop. Not even, was it filters? Mm-hmm. Not layers, but filters. Like just throwing like an emboss. I'm going to throw emboss on this, or you know, I mean, and then taking different things and just layering them on top of each other, like digital watches and calculators and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, I think they were trying to invent steampunk because it was supposed to be like mechanical, also the thing, and it was weird.
Yeah, I'm gonna have the front of a camera, but I'm gonna put a bunch of pressure gauges on it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. The thing is, it's one of those where you're like, you want somebody else to read it. So, like Melanie said, you could be like, see, but it's really hard to know what to say about it.
Because it's not really good, necessarily. It's just, you know.
Someone out there loves this one. Someone out there, this is their favorite one, and they're like, been waiting this entire time for us to talk about it. It was like, this is the best one. And we're like, I'm not sure that it's good, per se.
You know, if it was like just a short story somebody had written in a thing, I'd be like, oh, that's an interesting short story. But it's especially weird because it's a Swamp Thing comic.
As a Swamp Thing, it's not at all what you expect when you crack open Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
Not to say it's outside of the realm of something that could happen in Swamp Thing.
Well, at this point, at least, yeah.
Well, yeah. And Alan Moore definitely experiments with different concepts a lot, but
this one was probably a bad acid trip.
Yeah. Even for Swamp Thing though, this one's really out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad it's there. It's like I said, it's memorable. But and it was kind of like, since it is. I mean, I don't mind a wordy comic book, but
you do.
Well, kind of. It just depends.
You remember that one Batman one that I had to come and like read you several lines from?
I have not read that one yet.
I know you haven't because it's wordy. It's like almost all words.
Well,
but it's great.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Well, yeah, she's talking about the Grant Morrison Batman issue where it's pretty much it's just prose. It's just a book in comic book form.
Right.
But I mean, but the thing is, when you're expecting a comic book, you're in a different mindset.
Yeah.
Like, to go to long passages of prose is kind of a switching of gears.
Yeah.
And when you're reading something serialized, and it is a little bit like Jesse said, where you're like, on the one hand, you don't want it to end because you know you're coming up to the end. But then on the other hand, you're like, well, it's still serialized, and I want to see where this is going. I want to get to the next jump and see what's happening.
Yeah, and not spend 10 years on one comic. I understand.
Yeah, and so it does slow it down. And so you're kind of like, well, this is crazy, but I also kind of want to, let's get past this strange bit of unpleasantness.
But then when you do...
Even the next one is a little wordy.
Yeah,
you know, like the next issue is not as wordy, and it's back to the normal art style, but it's wordy too. I mean, like a lot of it is inner monologue stuff.
61, the next issue, is about a planet of sentient plants that he jumps into. And since he takes over plant life, he's taking over sentient life.
This is my favorite in this book.
Mine too, actually.
Yeah, this one's, because it's new. It's like, okay, yeah, sentient plant life. He takes over. It's almost like the way that planet kind of just, affects him. Now he's forced to kind of deal with the same deal, where it's like, oh, you didn't mean to, but you did.
Yeah, no, that's... Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I love they refer to him as the Horror. And I'm like, that's fantastic.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's... I guess when you look at them, the last issue and going into these issues, is you do kind of have, they kind of fit. The ideas kind of fit, where Swamp Thing comes across this strange planet, and the planet's kind of like, whoa, and does something to Swamp Thing. Mm-hmm. Well, then then we jump to the next one, and Swamp Thing comes to this strange planet and does something messed up to the people of this strange planet. Mm-hmm. But I think, I like this because he gets there, and it is horrific, because they set up a lot of these, just miscellaneous plant characters. Mm-hmm. And then once Swamp Thing gets there and things really start to go awry, it's pretty messed up. And more has taken time to establish some of these characters. So you get not super involved with them, but you have there's feels about it. You're like, oh man, that plant couple.
That's the main one, the plant couple. Mm-hmm. But if he could have jumped there into a plant, I don't think it would have been...
Well, there was trees and stuff that they seemed to live in, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it kind of seems like he couldn't really control it at that point.
Well, and that's kind of part of what I'm saying. If he could have gone into one, it wouldn't have been a thing. But he got there and it sucked up
everything he come across.
Yeah, and it was the mushing together of the peoples that...
Each jump feels like a leap of faith for him. And so it's he doesn't even know where he's going to land. It's just he doesn't have a choice in how he lands, but when he lands. In this one, it's he landed with a cannonball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they do refer to him as the Horror. Mm-hmm. It's interesting, these couple, the planet one is totally from the point of view of the planet, and then this one you jump to, and it's kind of from the point of view of these plant people. Mm-hmm. Plant people.
Yeah.
So it's interesting and then I guess even the Adam Strange stuff, it's like I said, part of what I didn't like about it is it wasn't really about Swamp Thing. You've got all this other stuff going on, and he's just kind of a cursory character, but that still kind of continues. He plays a much larger role in the stories, but after Blue Heaven, a lot of the jumps aren't really from his point of view. It's not about how he's dealing with this. It's about where he lands is dealing with him. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
They did an interesting thing with the panels on, was it page 9 of this issue, where they have a whole page and the panels are set up, and it's different scenes, but the whole page as a whole basically shows Swamp Thing's face.
Oh yeah,
mm-hmm.
Nice.
Like a picture frame looking thing, and then a mountain, and and then the people are inside of him, looking through his eyes, type of thing.
Yeah, and that's, besides being sucked up into a creature would be horrible. The everybody can see each other's thoughts and feelings, and that's what makes it a bad time for everybody. And I think that's kind of fascinating to me.
Yeah, I think more really took that concept, and it wasn't just that Swamp Thing inhabits these plant people, and takes control of their bodies. It's he does really interesting and bizarre stuff with what that does to the people and their consciousness, and it's kind of ends up a little bit being about how people interact with each other and how they, it's interesting. There's a lot going on in there.
Well, and this parallels the blue one in an interesting way in that in the blue planet he creates voices for all these people. But in this one, now he's got to deal with the idea of actually having those voices in his head, and he can't handle it. He kind of goes off the rails at first.
And we get a plant Green Lantern.
Yeah.
In this one, there's a big plot point with the Green Lantern of this area, of this sector from this planet.
And he's the one who saves the day, basically.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, he does, doesn't he?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, and then are we moving on?
Sure.
The next one is 62. I forget where exactly.
Oh, that's the New God stuff, huh?
Yeah, he meets new gods, and goes to, what is the name of that well?
Is it just called the well?
No, it's like a, I don't know. Never mind. Pretend I didn't say that. And meets Metron and his Mobius chair.
The Mobius chair?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, real quick. So that last issue was just a one issue?
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting. It seemed like that was a longer one, but okay, cool.
I actually don't remember this one much. So if you guys want to talk about it, because I don't remember.
Oh, it kind of ties into the last one because at the end of the sentient plant life one, he gets kind of trapped by that Green Lantern, and he basically exists as a wavelength. And then when he arrives here at this point, this nexus or whatever it is with Metron, he's in good control of it, and he can jump from wavelength to wavelength, and so that's how he's able to become the Mobius chair.
Yeah.
And kind of help the story progress and get to the different areas.
This one's interesting. I've never read a whole lot dealing with the New Gods, but they're kind of I don't know. They're interesting to me. I should look more into it. Do you know, Jesse, about like what decade were the New Gods created? Do you know?
Oh, I don't.
They feel
they start to really play in heavily in the 80s and in this time period. I mean, like they're involved in kind of tertiary ways in the crisis which happened, previously and that kind of thing. But it's interesting because they mention, like later on, they mention what Darkseid's up to. And it's like, wow, it really took him a long time to come to the end game on that because he finally comes to the end game on that in Final Crisis, which just happened, maybe 5 years ago, if that.
Oh, wow. Really?
So, like, they reference it way back then in this issue. And then we finally get the payoff a couple of years ago.
That's crazy.
But they get referenced pretty heavily in a lot of different things. I mean, even in Smallville, they make nods to Darkseid and Granny Goodness and all the stuff that's happening on Apocalypse. And
Granny Goodness is I ask mainly because they look like 70s characters a lot of times.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I would have to say early 80s or late 70s, somewhere in there.
And Granny Goodness I kind of love that character because it's so bizarre.
Yeah.
That's kind of an aside, but yeah, it's so bizarre. And the mother box, I love that they call them the mother boxes. That's weird. But anyway, yeah, I'm having a hard time remembering exactly what happened. I remember this guy is very upset that his Mobius chair is being jacked with.
Okay, The New Gods looks like Volume 1 was published in 1971. So pretty, there we go. Pretty close there.
70s, a little, what's the word? Hangover from the 60s.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, that totally makes sense. They just always look like, because even they'll still use some of them. I mean, Darkseid's Darkseid, but like Granny Goodness, they'll still use Granny Goodness in modern comics. But she still looks like, you can tell just from like they draw a lot of those characters with the real stocky and stout, and that just looks like a very stylized 70s thing that they continue to carry over as like, well, that's just what these characters look like.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they tweak things, but all of the characters still retain a level of like almost Jack Kirby-esque stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like DC, and I don't even know, maybe Kirby was working for DC at this time, but they all have kind of that like tuning fork motif to them. I mean, I think even Metron has a little bit of that in his outfit.
Yeah, I'm not sure what else to say about this one. I remember liking some of the concepts.
The main things that kind of happen in it is that they have to travel through all these wavelengths. So you get Swampy kind of flexing his new ability to do so. Uh-huh. And Metron is wanting to find the source of everything. And so that's what they're doing, is they're kind of pushing towards the source.
The source wall, that's what I was thinking of that I couldn't remember earlier.
Oh, okay, yeah. And so you get to see a lot of weird things as you get closer and closer to the source. And at one point they have to push through like everything, like experiencing all things and all time and all at once. And that's when Swampy kind of loses it a little bit. And eventually they find out, well, that's not even really the source. That was just a tip of it. And there's this whole like 2-page spread of panels of him just seeing different things.
That's right. Yeah.
It's like
I
was gonna say it's like he ate his own fruit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's exactly right. Yeah. So, like when he comes out the other side, basically, in order to come out the other side, he kind of focuses on Abby and his own timeline, but he sees everything happening at once, and that's where we're kind of getting like snippets and glimpses at what might happen after the Alan Moore run. Mm. So he's kind of a vegetable. Wah, wah. When they show up at Darkseid doorstep, and so like the little takeaway for Darkseid and the New Gods is that part of his anti-life equation has to include love.
Oh, okay, yeah.
One of the things that Darkseid hadn't really considered as being part of the equation, and having interacted with the Swamp Thing, he realizes it needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. That's Swampy having big effects on the universe.
And I find it funny that he has to focus on Abby to get through that, to get home, because in the next issue, number 63, he gets back to Earth and he doesn't go and see Abby. Instead, he goes and gets revenge.
Yeah.
That's the first thing he does. And I like it because he's usually not a bad guy, but he gets...
This is a revenge story.
Oh, yeah.
So, what was that, 63?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, like Melanie says, it's revenge time.
And he actually does something he brought up in the Gotham, when he was in Gotham and they had Abby, and he was saying, there's flora inside everyone's like digestive tract, and he could go in and mess with them, and then he does, and it's
yeah.
So he's going after all the I can't remember the name of the organization, but the Sunderland Corporation guys, basically.
Mm-hmm.
The organization that was chasing him down, and they napalmed him and all that. He's going after all those guys.
But not Lex Luthor.
I don't think he knew that Luthor was involved at all.
Oh, okay.
So, otherwise
he
might have.
Luthor just gave him the idea and then took off.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't actually pull the trigger, be involved in any real way, I guess.
Well, except, making it possible.
Yeah.
But that seems like a Luthor thing. He's not really going to be involved, but,
Mm-hmm.
Here's the gun. What you do with it is up to you.
Yeah.
He's like an arms dealer kind of idea.
He's like, I'm going to make a doomsday device and just leave it sitting here, but I'm not going to worry about what happens to it.
I'm just going to leave this here.
Yep. Yeah, I like this issue a lot. I like this one. It's, it's a revenge story, so it's, you know, got that, you get that bit of primal satisfaction from you're like, yeah.
What? And at the same time, you also see like each one of them has like a life and a family.
That's true.
And it kind of shows the collateral damage of each one and how they're like kind of messed up people.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like that one guy goes home to be doted on by his mom.
Oh yeah. In the isn't that the one where like he kind of floods the room with like flowers or something?
Yeah, like peach blossom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's another thing I hate to like, you know, rally on this every time, but that's part of what makes Moore's writing so good. Is it's not just like these are the bad guys and Swamp Thing's going to go back and take them out. These are the bad guys, and now you're going to see like all this crazy character stuff about these bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yeah,
all this crazy detail that doesn't need to be there, but it makes it so much more interesting that it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think it's really weird, also because, well, revenge, but most of the time he's being like defensive and trying to protect himself or people from things. So to see him like be the aggressor and attack people, and not like, I mean, like even like when he attacked Gotham, this is the city in general, he was trying to protect Abby, and it didn't really seem like he was hurting people that much. But
well, he was doing things that could cause people to get hurt, but he was never ever out and out attacking somebody.
Murdering people.
He was flexing his muscles. He was trying to scare them. He's like, this is what I can do to your city. It can be worse. Yeah, exactly. And
interesting thing about how he like actually kills people in this is that he never fully materializes. Mm-hmm. The only time in this issue that he fully materializes is when he's back with Abby. Mm-hmm. The rest of the time, he's like using his abilities, but you don't see his face at all.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's definitely a decision too. That's definitely a choice that they made. So, yeah, good point.
Because like it's the one where he basically swallows the guy in roses, drowns the guy in peach blossoms, and then what are the other ones? The flora and fauna one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's just there's never an actual like hand of Swamp Thing or face of Swamp Thing.
Maybe that's so he doesn't have to feel bad about it.
Yeah.
He has guilt.
Yeah.
His shame.
Mm-hmm.
Don't look at my face. So he, in one issue goes and pretty much takes care of most all of their enemies, or their obvious ones anyway.
Or at least the ones that know how to.
Yeah. Hurt him.
Yeah.
All right, so I guess the next one?
64, the last one, that's after he's done murdering everybody, he goes back to the swamp and Abby.
Mm-hmm. And this one, or the last issue that you mentioned, or 63, I think it's 64, is titled Loose Ends Reprise, because the first issue he wrote was Loose Ends, which was tidying up loose ends from the writer before him. Mm-hmm. So I appreciate that symmetry, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And this one, he basically goes home and I think tells Abby about what he's been doing or whatever. And then like builds them a house out of swamp stuff.
Yeah, builds them a swamp house.
Yeah.
It's very much a happily ever after type.
Mm-hmm. He's like, hey, look what I learned to do on the Blue Planet. Now we can live there with the real you.
Wasn't there some kind of plot line or story about like a local swamp town or something? How their stuff wasn't growing. I don't know. I thought there was some storyline. So yeah, there's not really a whole lot to say about this one, but it's definitely puts it at a spot where it is like it's a cap on the story. It's the end of the story. But obviously, the next writer can come on and continue on the story. But it's part of the reason I was like been so hesitant to read past, because I'm like, well, this Alan Moore stuff's been so good. And not to say that other writers can't handle it well. I've been enjoying modern day Swamp Thing. But it just seemed like such a good end to it. I was like, well, I kind of don't want to ruin it. I just
is this this character that he kind of is at the beginning and the end and sort of in the middle a little bit. Is this like Cajun guy that's just kind of rowing through the issue?
Yeah.
He looks like Alan Moore. Do you think he is Alan Moore, or do you think is this a character? I haven't read any outside synopsis of this issue, but I kept looking at it and thinking, that guy kind of looks like a cleaned up Alan Moore.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm not sure.
It'd be awesome if it was.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. That'd definitely be worth looking into, because I could see him doing that.
Yeah.
Kind of writing himself into it that way.
Like, well, yeah, literally rowing off into the end. 64. I wonder about that now.
Yep. 64 is the issue.
It's like a happily ever after. You don't want it to get screwed up later. And we don't know a lot of the middle, but we know stuff that happens later, so.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and obviously it goes on. The Swamp Thing series, that volume in particular, goes on for quite a while, I believe. And if it's not at this point, eventually it becomes an actual Vertigo book as opposed to just being DC stamped, you know? So I know it goes on for quite some time. But, like, yeah, it's that thing of, like, well, if the sequel's terrible, it might jade the way I feel about the first one. So how about I just stick with the first one? Kind of thing. But, I mean, that's not necessarily going to be the case.
And, you know, sometimes it's not, you just know that the rest isn't good. It's like, Land Before Time was a great movie, and every other sequel to it sucked.
But the other 20 were not so good?
Yeah, they all are crap. And I've had to watch them all because kids love dinosaurs, but the first one was amazing.
Yeah. Well, and I've heard good things about some of the writers' runs after this. So I definitely want to read past it, but after a certain point, then we started doing the podcast, and I was like, well, I definitely got to wait till we catch up.
You should also, because, I mean, we read somebody that we like, and then it's like we read a bunch of stuff by them, and we like are snobbish, kind of almost like, well, I don't want to read this. I want to read this because Alan Moore wrote it, you know, whoever. We need to broaden our horizons some, or you do, I should say. I'll read anything.
I do. I've read all kinds of Batman. I've read bad Batman. And I've read good Batman.
When you've got what the current guy was really good too, you said.
Yeah, and
now he's going to be Marvel.
And I haven't read all of his stuff because it's not possible to read all of his stuff because he writes too much. No, it's true though. I guess if you write a character I like really well, I become a big fan, and I'm just like, okay, you won me over. But that seems like a natural thing. It's like Scott Snyder. I started reading his Batman stuff. I was like, well, yeah, this guy's awesome. And generally, all the others, I've read a bunch of his other stuff, and it's always generally pretty good. Alan Moore stuff's pretty good. Yeah. But, no, yeah, I'm not opposed to other writers doing it. The modern stuff's been good. And Scott Snyder wrote modern Swamp Thing, too, and actually, I kind of like Charles Soule's stuff more. But, anyway, I don't know where we're going with that. Swamp Studies.
Yeah.
I looked that up real quick, and that character is actually a character. It's not Alan Moore.
Oh, well, he can be Alan.
Although it looked quite a bit like Alan Moore.
He's Alan Moore in our hearts.
Yeah, I think there was some metaphor there and stuff.
Has Grant Morrison wrote any Swamp Thing? Because, man, it seems like something Grant Morrison would write. And Alan Moore, I'm sure, would hate it.
Yeah. It would make him mad. Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of see... Okay, so there's that thing where Alan Moore hates Grant Morrison with a passion. And it's like, the guy ripped me off, blah, blah, blah. He does what I do. Mm-hmm. And I guess even with our discussion of this stuff, where we're like, well, there's that one issue where it's a lot of prose, and you mentioned that Batman issue that I didn't read with all the prose, which is a Grant Morrison issue. So I can kind of, in a little bit, see where he's coming from, but also, and I'm sure there's some, like, actual, like, interpersonal in the industry stuff there that we don't know about. Mm-hmm. But it's like also really pompous to be like, this guy does things similar to what I do. He must be ripping me off, you know, like, yeah, come on, man.
Yeah, no, yeah.
But with Grant Morrison's kind of like out there concepts and occasional, like, he seems hippie-ish in his ideals. Mm-hmm. Swamp Thing seems like a natural fit for him as well, so I'm curious if he's ever really wrote much Swamp Thing.
Then it really would have been a bad acid trip.
Yeah.
They're actually, he did do a 4-issue arc around issue 140. It looks like there's been some pretty crazy big names attached to Swamp Thing, because it looks like Mark Millar took over after Morrison at some point there, or is co-written. Yeah, the title was handed over to Grant Morrison for a 4-issue arc co-written by the then unknown Mark Millar.
Oh wow!
And this is like right after the Alan Moore run. Collins takes over, and then he did.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it all eventually. Now that we've gotten through it for the podcast, I'm just going to start reading it all.
Well, I don't know if you're going to have time. Maybe we're going to be doing Dead Air.
Oh, I can read.
There'll be a lot of Dead Air.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so
get ready to edit some Dead Air.
That's easy. You just cut it all out.
Yeah.
Have we even said Dead Air? If you, for whatever reason, have never listened to our podcast before, Dead Air is going to replace Swamp Studies, and we will be talking about Walking Dead.
Yeah.
So instead of a Saga the Swamp Thing book every other episode, it'll be a volume of Walking Dead, and there are plenty. Mm-hmm. So we will go until we're tired of it.
When I'm interested right off the bat, because I just read an article about basically the butterfly effect of Daryl Dixon and how it is utterly changing the series.
Really?
And it's gotten to the point where when they sit down to write an episode or an arc, the first thing that they have to do is first of all, they identify it and they're like, yeah, this is a really good story that we really want to do from the comic. Now, how does Daryl fit in?
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Because he doesn't exist, and because of his existence, now we've lost Tyrese, who was kind of Daryl, and then, like other people who should step up and be the new right-hand man, like Abraham, are probably not going to, because why would they?
Yeah, okay.
It's just the constant butterfly effect of that, and like the fact that Carol, she's not around as much as she is in the show. And so now we've got this super butterfly effect of now Carol and Daryl are around.
Well, it's really weird anyway, because a lot of the characters, like they use characters in the show that are not the characters in the book. They like completely swap out characters and take somebody. I'm not going to name names, but they take one character that died in the beginning and make him or her one of the main characters in the series that's running now.
Right.
And then people that are still in the comic died in the beginning of the series.
Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah.
It'll be really interesting to read it fresh, having seen as much of the show too now for me.
Well, it's really weird to me to watch the show
after having read like all of it, the series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, like, them finally, like, there's stuff that happened a long time ago in the comic that they're just finally adding into the series. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I've been waiting for that to happen. It should have happened a long time ago in the sequence as it goes in the comics, but they did it finally because it's like good stuff. Like the leg thing with
Oh yeah.
What's his butt? I was waiting for that for so long because I'm like, I love that when he's like tainted meat. That's like one of my favorite.
Somebody hurry up and eat somebody's leg.
Well,
do it now.
It's better in the comic book than they did it in there, but still.
Mm-hmm.
That was a pretty epic moment too.
Mm-hmm.
But I bet it was a lot easier to conceal in the comic,
mm-hmm.
because in the show I'm just like, oh, he's totally tainted. I mean, I saw it coming a mile away.
But yeah, that's something that happens. I mean, well, I don't know. It's hard for me to gauge what's early anymore because I've read so much of it, but
sure.
It seems like a long time ago to me that it happened. And the show's farther along than I would imagine, but I suppose you can fit several issues worth of comics into, an episode, so, or two. It's still one of my favorites. One of my favorite comics that I'm reading.
Mm-hmm.
But I really like zombies. I like pretty much all the zombie comics that I read.
That series has been going for a really long time too.
Mm-hmm.
It's huge. It's a huge, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Whatever happened to Extinction Parade?
Oh, I think it's still going, or at least it was for a long time. I stopped buying it because I fell back on. I fell off of it. But Extinction Parade was the Max Brooks zombie / vampire book.
The main characters were vampires, and
the world is taken over by zombies.
Yeah, and at first they were like, I don't care, and then eventually they were like, holy crap, we're running out of food.
Yeah.
And then it became a thing.
It got picked up. It's going to be turned into something eventually, a movie or a show. I'm not sure which. So Max Brooks seems to have who is it? Max Brooks and what's his name? Stephen King's son.
Hill.
Joe Hill?
Yeah.
Of course, it probably helps because they have kind of recognizable names and ties.
Mm-hmm.
But their stuff seems to get picked up a lot.
But, well, Joe Hill goes by Joe Hill, not King, and he has his other brother goes by King, and he's not nearly as well known. So they're talented. Lock and Key was great.
Yeah.
I think that's the only thing of his that I've read, but I liked it a lot.
He wrote Horns that we watched recently.
Yeah. Well, I know we watched it, but...
Oh, I'm just saying.
Was that pretty good?
Yeah, I liked it. It's not amazing, but it's different. That's
the Daniel Radcliffe, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Principal.
It's kind of it's hard to say it's fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
It is fun. It's a pretty, I guess, kind of morbid concept, or a downer concept.
Mm-hmm.
But it still manages to be kind of a fun movie, and the concept's fun.
Mm-hmm.
They roll with it. There's some funny bits for sure.
I find it difficult though to watch people that I know, or like when I first watch them in movies, I know they're very British, and then when I watch them trying to be American, I have to like scrutinize them so hard to listen and see if they mess up, He
did go though. He apparently speaks American English better than I do. Mm-hmm. He did good though.
Yeah, he did.
His American accent.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
For sure.
Better than Tenants.
See, I have not watched. I don't think I've watched anything where Tennant's played an American yet. I haven't watched the
Well, I don't think he does it very often. I think that's why it slipped so bad in Grace Point.
Yeah. I still have to watch that. I think we talked about that last episode. I'll have to check that. And I watched a bit of Broadchurch once.
Mm-hmm.
But I do not like police procedural shows, and that's what it struck me as. So I stopped watching.
Well, and that's what Grace Point is. I mean, it's exactly the same thing. It's just, the pacing's different because it's American.
Yeah, it's like it's English, so it's not the same. But Randy always likes to call them the letter cop shows, like
letter cop show.
Then
I don't like CSI New York, Brooklyn, creepy sexual predators. I don't need to watch CSI England.
No, the other one was NCIS.
Special Victims,
SI, Law and Order, Special
Law and Order's
Vacuums
great.
Unit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a fan of any of those shows. And Law and Order, Law and Order strikes me as a better produced, less trashy. And I'm probably, I'm sure somebody out there is going to be like, "Hey, screw you."
Mm.
But at least a less trashy show than like a lot of the CSI shows.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of those are real flashy.
Yeah.
But Law and Order was on when I was a kid, and what is the most boring thing on TV when you're a bunch of lawyers?
You hear that opener sound, and you're just like,
so it just makes me feel
checked out.
So I hear that duh, and I'm just like, oh, I'm a kid. It's late at night, and this is the most boring thing ever. That's how it makes me feel. I don't want it. I don't want it.
Yeah.
And the music, no, don't need it.
I always like Law and Order.
Oh, yeah.
The dad on Flash is from Law and Order.
The dad on Flash is from Flash. Oh, you mean the other guy, the foster dad?
Oh yeah, the foster dad. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Joe.
Yeah, I don't know what that other guy's in. I know he's in stuff, but
I like that guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I like Flash. Flash is a much more entertaining show to me than Law and Order.
Oh boy!
You know why he's such a good cop, though? It's because he had all those years of
experience. It took him a long time to get there.
I'm glad. Well,
iced tea.
Give me iced tea. Give me iced tea.
Iced tea.
Yeah, give me iced tea on Flash or something. Then we'll talk.
He'd probably do it.
We'll talk about how Flash is awesome, and I don't want to watch Law and Order.
How? Why is it that the gangsters and pimps always end up playing cops in movies? It's true though.
No, yeah, that's the old school gangster rappers who like that's their whole persona. End up playing cops on TV.
Yeah,
I know. It's weird, isn't it?
It is.
It's almost like the ultimate version of selling out, but, I don't think that was ever really... I think that's not really a big worry for a lot of rappers, because they're upfront about it. They want money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, but still, yeah, it's funny. Or, well, he was also a kangaroo man.
Oh, yeah. I actually really liked that movie. I know you didn't care for it, but I liked it. You don't like Lori Petty, that's what it is.
I don't like Lori Petty that much. At least in that, I didn't care for her.
I like Lori Petty anyway. I like her in that too.
The movie's okay, but it's just, it's like, camp level is like a notch or too high for me.
Mm.
Intentional camp level is a notch or too high. I don't know. I can't, it's hard to like figure out why certain things like Batman 66 I shouldn't totally tolerate.
Mm-hmm.
Probably because it's got Batman.
Yeah, that doesn't hurt.
Versus things like Tank Girl, which is good to a point, but I also kind of hate it. But
right,
I don't know.
But you mean why did they make it?
No, I don't. I don't know why there's a certain line that I can handle things on this side, but not on that side.
I see what you're saying.
Anything else before we wrap this up? 1 year, yay!
Yay!
I know we already mentioned it, but it's the end of the new Swamp Thing also.
Yeah, it's the end of the new Swamp Thing. This month there will be the last issue.
Mm-hmm.
They canceled Swamp Thing. That's very disappointing to me.
It is disappointing, and they've been doing a lot of kind of epic stuff, so I'm interested to see how they're going to end it all next issue.
Yeah, how they're going to wrap it up in like... I think I'm an issue behind, so I don't think we've read this month's issue yet.
Are you sure? The Life and Death? That's what I just read.
Oh, you might have. I might be behind on it. I don't think I've read it yet.
No.
But yeah, how they're going to wrap everything up in like an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Because Charles Soule's going over to Marvel, and Which at first I was disappointed, but since they're canceling Swamp Thing, I don't care anyway. Charles Soule can do whatever he wants with his life. Sounds awesome.
Go be successful.
You go be successful, lawyer man with a band who writes like 8 comic books a month. Oh, and also disappointed that the other newer guy, not that they're necessarily new, but that I really like, pretty much jumped off all the books I liked. The guy that was writing, Tom Taylor. He's writing the Injustice series. He's the reason that actually became like a series, a popular like book. And he was doing Earth 2. And I think he was doing something else. He jumped off all those books. He's got like his own book or a TV series or something going on. And he just didn't have time for it. But that really bums me out because he was excellent.
And I know Earth 2
went down the tubes.
Yeah.
I don't blame him for jumping off that.
I haven't read it actually.
Ship.
I think I'm kind of behind on Injustice. I haven't read it in a little while.
Yeah, we're way behind on Injustice. But I've been buying all the issues, and eventually I'm just going to sit down and just blow through it all, because it's a pretty quick read, generally.
I like how we're ending this episode with all these, like, downer notes, like, everything's ending. But you know what's not ending, guys? This podcast.
We're just keep going. We're just getting started.
We're just getting started.
So I got a new computer, which means...
Yay! Yes!
It's much faster than my old one. It's a huge improvement. Some of the programs I was using, I can actually get the 64-bit newer versions of. I'm not locked into this 32-bit Windows. So that'll be a big improvement. And so hopefully the Grawlix channel will you'll start seeing more videos pop up there.
Speaking of new things, and I don't want to like start a whole new segment that'll go like crazy out of control, but I don't think we've talked about this. Now I know I'm I'm the Big Finish guy, but the new series, the Unit series.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of huge news because that's Big Finish getting new Who licensing,
which is crazy because Is this the first time? They otherwise, for the most part, haven't.
This is the first time. Otherwise, they've just gotten like little snippets of like audiobooks that were already written, and then they just produced a real quick audiobook for it. But this will be a full-blown modern New Who Unit series with was it Gemma Redgrave as the Briggs' daughter, heading up Unit, and yeah, it looks like the first story is going to involve the Autons, and looks pretty epic.
Well, yeah, I like it. It's the series sounds interesting, and it's a promising step.
Yes,
because I think Tennant would totally be on board for doing.
Oh, he's already been like the fact that he couldn't do a 10 series. They basically wrote him a real quick series that he was like a time traveling cop guy.
Really?
And he was involved in before that. He was involved in the Dalek Empire series that they did.
And I know he's also done a lot of the at least a few audiobooks.
Oh yeah,
so I know
quite a few of those.
He totally seems on board for doing the audio stuff. So
they should just make him an Inspector Time series.
Inspector Space Time.
Oh yeah, that's what it is. Inspector Space Time.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't want to I don't get my own hopes up, but it seems like the Big Finish would be something that would be unique enough that if you were going to pull Eccleston back in, this might be the thing that would do it. I don't know. It's highly unlikely that he'll ever come back to Doctor Who, but I wonder if he wouldn't come back for a Big Finish. If the right people wrote the story and he didn't have to deal with the big studio situations.
Yeah, I mean, he in general, like, just because he avoids talking about it at all, he seems kind of soured on Doctor Who at all. But I think you're right. I'm assuming he wouldn't have to deal with any of the BBC people. It wouldn't. Yeah. The Big Finish things obviously don't get the kind of coverage and exposure that the actual TV series does. And so he's not necessarily got his face plastered on there. I don't know how he feels about the Doctor Who fandom, I guess, that comes along with playing a doctor. But of anything, that seems like a more likely possibility for Eccleston to return to playing Doctor Who.
I would hope so, because I like him a lot.
I know. Is he your favorite?
Yeah, I think so.
Your favorite Doctor?
Yep. Or of the new Doctors, at least.
When I think the 8th Doctor series, I think it'll be out maybe a day or two after this goes live. Oh, it'll actually go maybe up today. It says that the Dark Eyes 4 launches on the 2nd of March. So.
Oh, slightly related. I've been so out of the loop on comic book news, but I did come across we're getting a 10, 11, 12 crossover series from Titan.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And actually, I think what it sounded like is that miniseries will just replace the regular 10, 11, 12 books for the month or couple months or whatever.
Yeah, so you don't have to buy extra books like a lot of these companies are doing.
Yeah, which is kind of nice for sure. Because then you can still, it doesn't really inflate your pull list budget at all. Mm-hmm. Which is nice.
I was totally thinking of that when you were talking about the villains.
Villains month?
That
was awful.
I remember when it happened, you were like, there's like 4 of them.
It was really expensive. Yeah, because I was buying every Batman series at the time. Mm-hmm. And at that time, I think there were like 4. So 4 times 4 as opposed to just 4 issues. Mm-hmm. Oh, God. Yeah, that was bad.
But that was the one with the fancy cover, huh?
Yeah, they had the cool 3D covers.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess they're kind of cool, but since they were on my pull list, I actually got the 3D covers instead of the 2D covers that they had to go to eventually. Mm-hmm. What anything else? Anything else we got? Your book, Jesse. Jesse, your book.
I have a book. Yeah, it's out. I'm pretty proud of it. I mean, I don't want to pat myself on the back too hard, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah. We mentioned it last episode, and I think you actually got it posted or got it up before the episode went live or around when it first came out.
I think so. Yeah, it's up on you can find it a lot of different ways. The most personal, I like the personal way, the way that is going to support me the most, and I can get you a copy that's personalized and signed and that kind of stuff. If you go to the store that's connected on my website, which is tankmonkeycomic.com, that's the best way to get it from me. The fastest way to get it from me, or not from me, the fastest way to get it, period, is to go through Amazon. And it is up on there if you search out Tank Monkey.
Yeah, if you don't want to give Jesse the maximum support.
If you want to feed me actual sandwiches, as opposed to feeding a corporate machine like Amazon, so that you can get your book a little bit faster, then you could do that.
The create space okay. So when you order it through you, does the payment still get processed by Amazon?
When you order it through my store, it's Stripe. So
okay.
it's not through Amazon at all. If you go through Amazon, then it's processed through Create Space and Amazon, because they're basically the same company, just different divisions.
Yeah, I gotcha.
So the way it breaks down is I get paid royalties for everything that they sell through Amazon, and the royalties are a lot less than if I were to sell it myself.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, because I have no overhead when they sell it, which is nice. But at the same time, they affect the unit price, which then makes it really hard for me to compete with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's funny because they set the limit of their unit price, and so then they mark it down from there. And so it's actually cheaper than they'll let me sell it kind of thing. I mean, it's strange.
Yeah.
Hard to describe. But I get the least amount of royalty from Amazon. I get a little bit better royalty from CreateSpace, and then I can buy my own books at cost. Mm-hmm. And that's where I actually can come out ahead a little bit, is if I sell those copies.
So, buy them from Jesse.
Yeah.
Show him support like comfy balls.
Like, nobody's gonna know what that.
We'll look them up because they're awesome, and if I were a man, I'd want a pair.
They're underwear.
Awesome.
All right, good. I'm glad we, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, I don't know that I've ever mentioned this, but Tank Monkey totally always makes me think of drunken children, and I don't know why.
Drunken children?
Yeah.
What?
Word association in my brain, Tank Monkey makes me think of drunken children.
Oh.
Okay.
Hey, so that strip you sent me?
Yes, sir.
Has that gone up yet, or is that tomorrow?
That goes up tomorrow, which will have already been in the past.
For this? All right. Well, everybody go to Tank Monkey Comic.
Yep. TankMonkeyComic.com.
And yeah, that was a good one. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
It may still be up. Yeah, it takes place in a movie theater.
Yeah, it's a good one. I enjoyed that one a lot.
And has and I don't want to give away too much, but it has a special guest appearance, cameo that was graciously on loan from Axton of ZombieOaksComic.com.
It is nice.
So, and it took a while to make that one, but it was a lot of fun to do.
It looks nice.
Trying new software, trying to unshackle myself from the Adobe machine.
Oh, really?
Well, it's a Manga Studios 5, which is what Axton's been using for a while, and it's a pretty good software. It doesn't completely replace Photoshop, but it does a nice job.
It's been a good year, everybody.
Yep.
I'm excited for more. I'm glad it's still going.
Mm-hmm, me too.
Looking good. Yeah. Looking good for the next year.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. As Brandon of the Technology Geek Podcast would say, he predicts in the future, the Grawlix Podcast will be number 1 on the iTunes podcast charts.
Make it so. Make it so, people.
Make it so.
Yeah.
Hey, if you listen to us on iTunes, leave us a review. It helps us out. The more reviews we get, the more likely iTunes is going to be willing to suggest us to other people. So if you want to share it with us, with people, rate it and review it and share it with your friends and tell your family.
Yeah.
Great. Oh, hey. Hashtag promotion.
Hashtag promo 2015, Coney.
Coney?
Yeah.
Is that like a hot dog or something?
Yeah, it is, but that's not what I was thinking. I was thinking that
Coney's kind of that's kind of an obscure reference at this point, isn't it?
It really is. It was a
huge thing, but
that huge weird documentary about that Coney guy.
Oh yeah, I watched that.
And apparently nothing could come from any of that.
Yeah.
And the guy that made the documentary got arrested for indecent activity in public, and it was just all very awkward and strange.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's one of those moments where the internet just went insane for a moment.
Yeah, everybody was just like, this is really important. And then it all came out that it was like kind of, I don't know, not totally on the up and up and could cause more damage than it should kind of thing.
Yeah, it's very weird. That was my reference. That's hip.
that was hip.
That's hip to be square.
Oh man. Yeah, you went really old school with hip to be square.
I did.
It's like you're channeling the end of the Tosh show.
Oh, where you just like, yeah.
Old canceled things that.
Yeah, like this has been in some random old canceled show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He was in the future, and then he went back to the future.
Yeah. Yep. Marty.
Something's got to be done.
Something's got to be done.
It's about your Grawlix kids. Wait, what?
we're like doing movie quotes as part of the bit now.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we happens in the future all the time, so.
It's true.
This is Melanie, and hail to the Grawlix, baby.
This is Randy. You ever dance with the Grawlix in the pale moonlight?
And this is Jesse. Nobody calls me Lebowski. You got the wrong guy. I'm the dude, Grawlix.
Thank you for listening to the Grawlix Podcast. The Grawlix Podcast is a production of Electronic Media Collective and Vorpal Arrow Studios. This podcast is released under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 4.0 International License. To hear more, visit GrawlixPodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook at Facebook.com/GrawlixPodcast and like us on Twitter, Twitter.com/GrawlixPodcast.
Got right to the meat. The meat and bone. No gristle.
no gristle.
All right.
It's all about that bass right there.
All about that bass.
No gristle.
Turn up for what?
From the window to the wall.
See, this is all that not random just built up to now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my what? Oh my Grawlix's crawl.
See, this is the stuff that you're gonna have to cut and use as the
Well, I'm glad because I was that's good.
Cut this and put this on SoundCloud. Everyone will be listening all the time.
Yeah.
The hips is what we have.
We got
the hips.
We got the hips. At least at least 6 of them between the 3 of us. Hipster.
Whoops.
So for more talk like this, listen to the Grawlix Podcast. New episodes first Monday of every month.
And we've got hips.
We got it.
The hips makers. This is like a brand of ice cream. We're the hips makers. Oh, goodness. Granny goodness.
Granny goodness.
Because our hips don't lie.
Oh, man.
Read our hips.
Oh, read our hips, yeah. And my hips don't lie. I don't know why I gotta make a Shakira reference here, but I do.
Because no one else is, that's why.
That's why. Because you're the Batman, that's why.
Yes. Yep. Yes.